Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
The Seahawks are winners of 3 in a row, and so far most everything looks solid. Sam Darnold's been efficient. Jackson Smith-Njigba looks phenomenal. The defense is second in scoring. ESPN's Brady Henderson and your colleague, Dan Graziano, just posted for his overreactions column that the Seahawks are the team to beat in the NFC West and said, verdict, not an overreaction. Brady, are the Seahawks the team to beat in the NFC West?
I still think it's them and the Rams. And before, 4 weeks ago, I would have said this is such a hard pick to make because, the top 3 teams at the division seemed like they were so evenly matched that I basically gave the tie, deferred to Vegas, and said, I'm going to go with what Vegas thinks here and say San Francisco. Obviously, the complexion of their season changed when Nick Bosa went down. They're dealing with a bunch of other injuries, as they always seem to do. So right now, I'm saying it's Seattle and Los Angeles is right there at the top. Now, if you pay attention to point differential, which I think that you should, the Seahawks have a plus 44 point differential. That's by far the best in the division. Los Angeles is at plus 19. Maybe a little early to be putting a ton of stock into that, but I think as the season progresses, that's the one thing you got to keep an eye on. And so right now, look, I still think Los Angeles and Seattle are right there. The Rams, of course, went into Indy and beat the previously 3-0 Colts. So I think it's maybe too early to call it. I think it's those two teams, though.
What's something where you look at the two teams and you would give, let's say, LA the edge? Because I don't disagree with you. When we were thinking of this question earlier, Curtis brought it up in our show email. And my immediate thought was, oh, no, I still am thinking the Rams. And then I was trying to reflect on, well, why? Why was that my gut reaction to think the Rams? So what about you?
Yeah, I don't know if this is as much about the Rams as much as it is about Seattle. And look, I think we've got to see this run game come alive before you can really start to see how good this team could be. And their run game, I think, in some ways took a step forward in that game in Arizona last week, 155 yards rushing. Now, granted, 24 of those came on one Sam Darnold scramble. You didn't really see the consistency that I think they want to see from Ken Walker III and Zach Charbonnet. Walker was okay. I think he averaged, well over 4 yards a carry, but there's still, or as I mentioned yesterday, a lot of runs that just go nowhere. And so I think I'm sure that's something that they spent a lot of time over the mini bye trying to address and to figure out what's going on there. But it sounds like it's not just running backs not seeing it well. It's not just the blocking. It's a little bit of everything with the play design mixed in there as well, the play calling maybe. And so, I can't tell you how good LA's run game is. I just know that is a big, I think that is a significant thing you got to see from the Seahawks before you can really start talking about, okay, how far might this team go?
Let's talk about the passing offense a bit, because one thing that, again, your colleague Dan pointed out is that this also centers around Sam Darnold. He writes, quarterback Sam Darnold is playing well enough to make you believe last season in Minnesota wasn't a fluke and that moving on from Geno wasn't a mistake. The Seahawks might have been a little bit overlooked in the preseason when we discussed the NFC West, but they are clearly a team to take seriously. I think the last part is absolutely true. I think that they were overlooked, and I think they are very clearly a team to take seriously. To your point, I agree. I don't think it's because the offense as a whole or the run game looks absolutely dominant. I think it's that Sam Darnold looks so much better than people expected.
Yeah, and there was, I think, a fair amount of skepticism with Darnold coming into a new system. And the question was, okay, is what he did last season in Minnesota, is that going to translate when he no longer has Kevin O'Connell calling plays for him? He no longer has that great tandem of receivers and really the pass catchers as a whole with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and whatnot. That was a totally fair question, one that I asked. And also, how quickly and how decisively can Darnold play? All fair questions, and I think that he's answering them right now. And I mentioned this on the show yesterday. What has surprised me about Darnold is the level of playmaking. And when I say that, I mean the ability to create and escape pressure. And he's never been known as a Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen type runner, but he has proven to be really effective at escaping pressure and not just avoiding sacks, but making big plays while on the run. And you've seen it, I'll give you a few examples. The 3rd and 9 play in Pittsburgh when he spins out of a sack and finds A.J. Barner to convert there. The big play to Jackson Smith-Njigba against New Orleans when he escapes pressure, throwing to his left, throws downfield for a long gain. that's another thing he does really well is throwing while on the move, even to his left, which, as you can imagine, that's a tough throw for a lot of quarterbacks to make. But continuing that last week in Arizona, the 24-yard scramble. Before that, the throw to Elijah Arroyo where he escapes pressure and he's thrown to his right and finds Arroyo for a big gain. So there's just a lot of ability that Darnold has shown, not just to avoid sacks, but to create big plays while he's on the run.
Does the things you've seen, are the things you've seen that are impressive, whether it's with Sam, whether it's with the Seahawks, do they feel like real things? For instance, last season they started 3-1, but I think when we stepped back and look at it, we were like, okay, well, you played Skylar Thompson for Miami. You played a rookie Bo Nix in his first ever start, and we saw him get so much better throughout the course of the season, and that defense got so much better throughout the course of the season. You got the worst version of the Broncos. So we were able to kind of look and go, how much are these opponents testing you? Now, if you were a pessimist, you could look at the Seahawks schedule and go, all right, so you beat the Saints, but do you think there's a bit more there that's tested them to start the season, or are you still waiting to see some things?
Yeah, it's a good point you made about last year because they were 3-0, but it felt like a pretty tenuous 3-0. Remember, the second quarterback they faced was Jacoby Brissett, who was on the verge of losing his starting job to Drake May, and I think the more troubling sign in those 3 games last year where their run defense was really showing a lot of cracks, and eventually it gave out, and they kind of hit rock bottom with their run defense, and they had to make some personnel changes and whatnot. This 3-1 start feels a lot more solid than last one. And yeah, the Saints, they're not a good team. They could have the number 1 overall pick next April, for all we know.
And they'll need it.
Yeah, but Arizona is a solid team. San Francisco, obviously, they were picked to win the division.
And you had the healthiest version.
Yeah, right. Yeah, before a lot of injuries that they suffered, and so. Yeah, this doesn't feel like it's a house of cards or anything. And I think I understand what Macdonald was saying yesterday about how they're in a cool spot because they have not played their best football. It's not like they have required, every bit of them to be firing on all cylinders to get to 3-1. There is still some room for improvement.
Speaking of, why don't I play that for you?
I think we're in a cool spot because we figured out a way to win games, and we also feel like we have a lot of room for growth, and I think the guys feel the same way, so there's urgency there to go keep attacking, keep figuring out ways to get better, improve on the things and the mentality that we have throughout games, and it's exciting. It's exciting to have room for growth and also have some wins in the win column.
I love you pointing out that quote from Mike Macdonald because what it made me think of is the massive difference in just an emotional reaction from fans in things to fix versus room for growth. What the Seahawks want to do, and to his point about it being cool, is let's figure out how to build on these leads. Let's figure out how to make a solid offense even better. Let's figure out how to make a defense that's number 2 in scoring even tougher, rather than last year, hey, how do we fix
Do you have the guys?
Yeah, do you have that's a question that's not fun to answer. That's not growing. That's figuring out the test in the middle of the test, and no one likes doing that. Where they're at right now is, hey, we could be better. Can we figure it out this season? And that's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think their defense, I know that they gave up, 17 straight points in that game against Arizona, but it's still one of the best defenses in the NFL. They still only allowed 20 points, which is, if you do that all season, you're doing pretty well. And I think one of the reasons for optimism with this team is that that their defense is going to keep them in just about every game. And are there going to be times where the offense struggles, where maybe the offensive line gives up some pressure, where Darnold makes a mistake, where they can't get the run game going? That's going to happen. And we have seen a little bit of that. And I think their defense is good enough to consistently keep them in games to where it's not always going to be on the offense's shoulders. And look, I mean, there is room for growth on that defense as well in terms of, closing games out, maybe getting some guys back. Their secondary is getting back. I think there's a fascinating situation going on in their secondary that we can talk about what happens with what might be a surplus of young talent now that Nick Emanwari is coming back. And we just, that as good as that defense has been, we have not seen the best version of that because some guys have been in and out.
Well, let's talk about that secondary right now because we've got some time here, and we don't have you all day. We only have you for 2 hours, so we want to cover our bases with the Seahawks here. There's a rumor about Woolen being traded, or excuse me, There's a rumor from Ian Rappaport that other teams are interested in acquiring Rick Woolen via trade. Different way to categorize that. You got Emanwari coming back from injury. You've got Josh Jobe and Darion Kendrick, who have really made their case to start the season. What kind of shuffling are we going to see? Who's locked down which roles and who's still a moving piece?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know that Devin Witherspoon is their number one cornerback, and he's going to be on the field every snap as long as he's healthy. What you saw in that Arizona game was they took Rick Woolen off the field for a few plays. Like when they brought in D'Anthony Bell as the big nickel, it was Rick Woolen coming off the field, Josh Jobe staying on the field, and Josh Jobe played every play. So what that was a swap of Woolen and Jobe in the number 2 and number 3 roles. Before, Woolen was the every down guy, and Jobe had been the guy, at least early in the season, before Witherspoon got hurt. Jobe was the third cornerback who would come off the field in certain sub packages. So it was only a difference of 6 plays in that game, but I think it's very clear that Jobe has overtaken Woolen for the number 2 job.
How do you think he's done that?
By being consistent. And Jobe had one of I know he gave up a couple catches in the Arizona game, but before that, I mean, he had been the definition of a lockdown corner. I mean, I think he had only allowed a couple completions. He had the interception, a bunch of pass breakups, and he had just been doing everything right. And Woolen, as we all know, has been up and down. There was the two pretty critical mistakes late in the 49ers game. And I think that move I'm talking about where Jobe overtaking Woolen in the number 2 role and then Woolen assuming the number 3 role, I think that would have happened in week 2 had it not been for Devin Witherspoon's injury. Because Witherspoon missed those next 2 games, and you had to keep Woolen in that spot. So I think that would have happened a couple of weeks ago. You saw it happen in that game on Thursday, and now it gets even more crowded because Nick Emanwari is coming back, and Darion Kendrick. You shouldn't overlook him. You know, he had 2 interceptions in 2 games while Witherspoon was out. That was despite only arriving right after cutdown day. So the guy picked up the defense pretty quickly. And he should have had a couple more interceptions because he dropped 2 of them. So my point in all this is to say that, look, I think it was interesting how Macdonald chose to answer that question yesterday, because the question was, he said, look, if teams are interested, I'm paraphrasing him. He said, if teams are interested in their players, that means they've got good players. So absent from that was any sort of comment on, hey, look, he never shot down the idea that
Double down on we love Woolen. Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
He never shot down the idea that Woolen could eventually be on the trade block. He also didn't answer the second part of that question, which was about his level of confidence in Woolen. So I think that with how much talent they have in their secondary, how up and down Woolen has been. Look, we all know how they got to this point. I mean, they chose not to extend him this offseason when they could have, because they've been reluctant to commit to him long term. So you got a guy who's in the final year of his rookie contract, said a lot of up and down play. You've got other people in that secondary playing really well around him, and they've already shown that he has sort of been, I think maybe you could say, slightly demoted to that number 3 cornerback role. So yeah, there's still a long way to go before the trade deadline. I think it's 5 weeks from today, but that situation absolutely is one to monitor between now and then.
I think the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous, twofold. Curtis and I were actually talking about this yesterday, including with you. We had an interview with you and asked you this, and then we talked about it separately. Is, all right, there's the fear that you have with any trade. You send someone somewhere else, and he looks amazing, and you look like an idiot. Granted, sometimes people flourish in other places, and it has nothing to do with you, and it was never going to happen here. The second thing is, well, what if you trade Woolen because you do have a surplus of talent there, and Josh Jobe gets hurt, or Kendrick gets hurt, and suddenly this thing that's supposed to be elite for you, because I think the Seahawks' best bet to get deep into the playoffs is to have the number 1, number 2 overall defense. You potentially jeopardize that with depth concerns.
Maybe, yeah, and that's a fair point. And they also do have Shaq Griffin on. I can't remember if he's on their 53 or their practice squad right now.
It shuffled around a couple.
It doesn't really matter. He's there, and he's
he likes it here. He's
obviously a really experienced guy who could step in there, and so. And that is a good point about I mean, he is such a talented guy that you would be giving up, if they were to move on from him, they'd be giving up on a guy who's obviously made a Pro Bowl, and he's got all-pro type of ability, just with the speed and the size and all that. But I think they also could look at it and say, it's been 3+ years now, and look, you sort of, a lot of times, after 3 years whether or not you're going to pay a guy. And I think they could face a decision where, okay, if you hang on to him and you live through the inconsistency for the rest of this year, then and you let him go in free agency, then at best you're getting a 3rd-round compensatory pick in, what would that be, in 2027, right? Do I have that right?
Brady, listen, if there's one person in this room who's going to know, it's you, not me.
Yeah, right. It would be 2027. At best, depending on the size of the deal he gets, you'd be looking at a 3rd-round pick in 2027. So that would be maybe the equivalent of getting a 4th-round pick if you trade him this year. Now, I think if they were to trade him, and maybe we're putting the cart way ahead of the horse here and talking about what they could get for him.
Sure.
I think you would probably, I imagine they would be looking for a player, someone to help them right now, maybe in addition to a pick or in lieu of a pick. But regardless of what it is, I mean, I think that is something they would have to consider is, look, if you hang on to this guy, and you live through the inconsistencies, at best, you're going to end up with a 3rd-round pick 2 years from now.
Well, speaking of Dan Graziano's overreaction or underreaction column about the Seahawks being the team to beat in the NFC West, we've got some of our own when it comes to just the Seahawks in particular. That's coming up in 15. Right now, let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrite.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bubba and Stacy.
Headline number 1, the biggest story from last night's Monday Night doubleheader. Tyreek Hill suffering a horrific knee injury in the Dolphins' win over the Jets. What's the real headline?
List of players who can save Mike McDaniel's job is narrowed to 1. It's Tua Tagovailoa. Now, I'll say this, Brady. Last night was, quite unfortunately, the offense's best day. It was the first time they had over 300 total yards. It was the first time they didn't turn the ball over on offense. And unfortunately, it looks very much like this might be the end of the season for them. If you didn't already feel that way as a Dolphins fan, they did enter this game 0-3.
Yeah, that was a team that probably was going nowhere, especially in a division that has the Bills and a conference that has some really, really strong teams. And so, yeah, I mean, Mike McDaniel, I think he is, I'm going to choose my words carefully to not make any sort of inappropriate, metaphor, but look, I don't think he's long for that job.
Yeah.
And, when you start 0-3 and then you lose your best offensive player, yeah, really not a good recipe for hanging on. And I think that when you are, I don't know if I think he's really amusing. I think he's hilarious. I just don't know how well that demeanor is going to play with an owner and with a fan base when you're not winning.
I don't disagree with you. Do you think that part of what they're doing is going, well, God, you've had so many games without Tua, so we got to give you some leeway there. God, now you got the rest of the season without Tyreek Hill, so we got to give you some room there. Or do you think it's just, look, great coaches don't get their team to a Super Bowl every single year, but they can overcome some obstacles? Like maybe that's the lens they're looking at. Yeah,
and I think they could also look at it from the lens of, look, there are some people, some coaches who are really good at coordinating offenses, and that's as good as they're going to be. And then he was never even a play caller before that. Remember, he was working for Kyle Shanahan. So I think it's called the Peter principle, right? Like you, at some point, you reach your level of ability,
and that's just what you are.
Yeah, and when you go beyond that, you sort of get exposed. And I hate to say it, but I wonder if that could be the case.
That was me as a 10th place swimmer also. What's next?
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, to the other locker room. Aaron Glenn blasted the Jets after their error-filled loss to Miami on Monday night. What's the real headline?
Added Glenn, we've got to find the guy responsible for coaching this team. Is this an Aaron Glenn? I don't want to say Aaron Glenn issue. This is an issue with the Jets no matter what. Quarterbacks, coaches, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of failure with this organization. But at a certain point, when you're a coach going, yeah, we got to clean this up, you're doing it to say what reporters and fans want to hear, but you have to be responsible for errors and mistakes.
Yeah, and there was a lot of them in that game. I mean, they committed, 13 penalties for 101 yards.
That's messy.
That is wild. I don't know if even in the worst moments of the Pete Carroll era, if you ever saw a game, maybe there was a game that bad, but that is some rotten football. And this is, unfortunately, this is a team that lives with kind of the burden of the same old Jets, and they have just kind of been this hapless franchise that cannot get out of its way for a really long time. Yep. And I think you're just seeing it again. I mean, Justin Fields looks exciting. And they've got quite a bit of young talent. I mean, with Aaron Rodgers the last couple of years, I mean, this was a team that was actually expected to do some things. And obviously that didn't happen. Rodgers got hurt, first game a couple of years ago, and they've just sort of been the same old Jets.
How long do you give? I'm sorry to build on this before we get to the next one. Anytime a coach is like fired after 1 year, I always think, well, that's a little premature. Like Steve Wilkes with Arizona, whatever. There are a couple cases where you look at it, and outside of maybe Urban Meyer, you go, this felt unnecessary. This is a bad organization. It's why they hired on this new coach. Rarely do you inherit a team that's like playoff ready as a head coach. That said, how long do you give someone, or what would you need to see at the end of the season? What do you need to see in year 2 if you're a Jets fan?
Yeah, I would imagine that if you're the owner there, you need to see them actually play competent football. And look, you might not win games, but you just you can't see sloppy, just mistake-filled play like that. I mean, that's the thing that you probably, if that continues, that's something that could get a coach fired after one season where, look, even if you play, even if you don't win a whole lot, if you don't beat yourself up like that, you don't play undisciplined football, I think that can get you by after one season, but you can't do it if you're just beating yourself like that.
Headline rewrites.
Headline 3, just days after returning to the 49ers lineup, Brock Purdy listed as questionable again for San Francisco's Thursday night game against the Rams. What's the real headline?
Who would have thought Matthew Stafford and his epidural would outlast 25-year-old Brock Purdy to start the season?
There is something crazy, this weird phenomenon that, look, every NFL team deals with injuries. It seems like the 49ers year after year deal with a much higher amount. This word is escaping me, but way more than most teams do.
Agree.
And I think my colleague Nick Wagner has written about this, but you could partly attribute that, I think, in recent years to the fact that team made so many deep playoff runs over that 4 or 5 year stretch that they almost played in playoff games alone. They almost played an extra season. Now that's not a factor with Brock Purdy. He's only been there a few years and he's a 25-year-old guy.
Interesting point, though.
Yeah, so that's not the case with Brock Purdy, but maybe that's the case with Kittle. Maybe that's the case with Nick Bosa, some of those other guys getting injured. Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I think he's suffering.
Warner off and on with a couple things.
Yeah, but that's obviously not in play with Purdy. That's just kind of a fluke thing.
Just bad luck.
Yeah.
I think most games lost due to injury last year, and man, them and the Ravens look like they're competing for that title through 4 weeks. We'll get to the Ravens, by the way, coming up in NFL headlines. Before we do our own overreactions to the Seahawks season so far, that's next.
Get inside the huddle.
The handoff inside. He's Sherman. He's going to go. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Taking you inside the VMAC every week. Thursdays, noon to 2.
Our guys show up to play.
Player interviews.
It's obviously been paying off. Just going to continue to do that.
Previewing this week's matchup.
We'll say they come out and just run the ball down the Niners' throats.
And everything Seahawks.
If anybody had a doubt, don't.
The Huddle. Every Thursday at noon. Exclusively on the home of the Seahawks. Seattle Sports.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just one cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here. Based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. And you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain and and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
This is for all you guys on Viagra. ED pills are no longer needed. The brutal side effects like 4-hour headaches, blurred vision, and that flush feeling can all be put behind you with our treatment. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. Guys, let me be clear. Pills will never fix your problem. Our equipment is the latest technology, and our medical staff is the best in the industry. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. If you suffer from ED or Peyronie's disease, give West Coast Men's Health a call today. It's not just about better health, it's about a better life.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
This is Chris Davis with the Davis Law Group. Did you know that a pedestrian does not have to be crossing the street on a marked crosswalk to have a successful legal claim against the driver? Pedestrians can even be partially at fault for a collision and still have a valuable claim. Call us today for a free consultation or get my free book on pedestrian accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
Home of your American League West Division champion Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Luxury has arrived at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. It's Mike Salk here. You can book now for an unforgettable experience. Let's talk about Hawks Peak. It is the place to be for game days this football season. With over 66 TVs, indoor-outdoor concept, the deck is covered and it's heated as well. And the food, oh man, it was excellent. All with breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. Yep, you can go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Toyota of Renton is in the playoff chase with game-winning deals on your next ride. Score a 36-month lease on the Tacoma at $279 a month with $39.99 due at signing. The RAV4 leasing at $299 a month with $39.99 due at signing. Drive smarter with the all-hybrid Camry leasing as low as $299 a month or the Corolla from just $219. Whether you're gearing up for the fall or chasing savings, Toyota of Renton is the place to go. Visit toyotaofrenton.com and get in the playoff chase today. Offers valid through September 30th, 2025. Excludes tax, title, license, dealer accessories, and $200 negotiable documentation fee. Model 7540-4432-2559-1852.
After years of football and the injuries that go with it, my first thought was always go get surgery. Hey, it's Dave Wyman, but after a consultation with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine, my eyes were open to an alternative to surgery, and I'm talking about stem cell therapy. Well, and my buddy and co-host Bob Stelton, also in pain, and decided to go see Dr. Wagner.
I had a hip issue from 14 years of jiu-jitsu.
How's the pain now?
Everything I did before, I can do just as well. Hitting the heavy bag, sparring, rolling, all of that is back in play. This whole thing has been such a pleasant surprise because I really was of the mindset, I'm going to have to go under the knife. I'm going to have to get surgery. And this really saved me from that. I could not be happier with the results.
Whether it's a hip like Bob had, a shoulder, a knee, a wrist, an ankle, before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine.
Do it. You will not regret it.
Hey, get the facts, hear from all the patients I've talked to, and schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
ESPN's Brady Henderson in for Michael Bumpus today. We're going all Seahawks, all NFL for the first 2 hours, and then Brady's going to head out. Me and Curtis are going to take over, and we are going to cover a full day of American League wild card games. Detroit up 1 on the Guardians right now, bottom of the second one out. All right. We know that Dan Graziano had his overreactions column, and one of the things he talked about was it is not an overreaction to say the Seahawks are the team to beat in the NFC West. Cool. Now, Dan's job is to cover the NFL nationally. Our job here is to talk about the Seahawks locally, so I wanted to flip that and use Dan's format for just some Seahawks statements. Brady, I am going to read you a statement about this team, and you tell me whether it's an overreaction or not an overreaction, and then tell me why. So, for instance, here's the first one. Sam Darnold will finish with a better season than Geno Smith.
Not an overreaction at all. I think that I'm not going to say that's a certainty, but I'd say that's looking really good right now because, I mean, you just seen it. Now, it's not that Darnold is lighting up the stat sheet with, 3 touchdowns every game. I think it's, 5-2.
It's an interesting start for him.
But
not
clearly,
gaudy numbers.
Yeah, you've got to look beyond just the numbers to know that he is playing some really good football. And I talked about the ability to escape pressure. He's really getting the ball out on time. And he's not taking unnecessary sacks like Geno Smith had a tendency to do. He's not consistently putting the ball in harm's way like sometimes Geno Smith did, especially in the red zone. Geno Smith has thrown a bunch of interceptions right now. That's not a very good Raiders team. I have very little doubt that Darnold is going to have a much better season than Geno.
We talked about it a little bit earlier, but what's so interesting about Darnold's start to the season is that he doesn't look like the worst version of Darnold. And he didn't early for Minnesota. I think people assumed, look, those final 2 games, it's almost like people thought Sam Darnold will never be able to get rid of who he is under pressure. Like he completely collapses, turns into a pumpkin. That's the real Sam Darnold, and finally it was exposed. And certainly aiding the narrative is the timing of those 2 games and how important those 2 games were, one of them obviously knocking them out of the playoffs. I know you look at the start to the season or the NFC West as a whole and go, God, they got a pretty easy trek here. He's faced some good defenses. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 2nd or 3rd in sacks. I know they aren't the defense we're used to seeing from them, but they're still solid. Arizona Cardinals have a pretty good defense. I mean, they're a team still figuring it out. I'm sure it's frustrating to Cardinals fan, but there are some good pieces in that group. The 49ers defense they saw was still fully healthy. So I think they've been tested, at least in terms of trying to defend a pass rush, and I've been pleasantly surprised by how Darnold has performed and the fact that, by the way, Brady, he's only been sacked 6 times.
Yeah, and it was 3 over the first 3 games.
Yeah.
And I think going back to the end of his great season with Minnesota, I think a big part of that was that offensive line, which was pretty solid for the first half of the season, there was a deterioration among that group, and then it really came to light in those final 2 games. And so I don't think the offensive line did him any favors in those 2 games. I think it's also fair to say that throughout his career, Darnold has had a tendency to hold on to the ball. And part of that last season was when that offensive line was really good. That was a downfield offense, and he was holding on to the ball because he was waiting for Justin Jefferson to get open deep downfield, and that happened a lot of times. But when the attrition set in on the offensive line, you can't really do that. And I think it really caught up to them in that offense late in the season. So that's why it's so important for Darnold to really play on time. And I think when I looked after that Arizona game, I think he had the 10th fastest average time before throw. I think it's like 2.7 seconds. And, last year in Minnesota, he was 34th in that metric. Again, he was able to get away with that for the first part of the season, and then the offensive line really fell apart, and you couldn't do that.
All right, next one. These are all a little bold, but we're only a month through the season, so they're all going to sound bold. JSN will be a top 5 receiver in the NFL this year.
Now, are we talking just finishing top 5 in terms of receiving yards?
Yeah.
Okay, at first blush, I would have said probably not, just because playing in a run-heavy offense, you may not get as many opportunities as some other receivers who play in big-time passing offenses. But now that I look at it, he's 2nd in the NFL right now, 402 receiving yards behind only Puka Nacua, who has 100 more somehow. And if you look at some of the guys, the usual guys who you would expect to be at the top of that list, well, Tyreek Hill just suffered, unfortunately, a gruesome leg injury. He's out for the season. Malik Neighbors is another guy you might think would be in that top 5 by season's end. He suffered a torn ACL. He's done. Jamar Chase is healthy, but his quarterback is hurt, and you saw last night how ineffective that offense is without Joe Burrow. And
you could argue the same for Justin Jefferson.
Right.
Jordan Addison will have missed the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I at first I would have said that's probably a stretch just because of this offense. But with how well he's playing, the start he's off to, and some of the other guys around him who aren't going to be in that top 5, I'm going to say, I think he finishes in the top 5.
All right, let's go to the defense for a couple of these. This one. DeMarcus Lawrence's injury will be a problem for Seattle's D-line.
Well, I don't. So my understanding of that is that at least as of Friday, I'm told that as of Friday, that did not appear to be a serious injury.
Okay.
So I don't think
Overreaction here.
Yeah, so I don't think that's something that is going to put him on IR. Now, Mike Macdonald didn't really say anything about it yesterday. That's typically what he does early in the week, is he waits until Wednesday when they have to release an injury report to really give any details about players' health and whatnot. But again, my understanding is that was not a super serious injury. So in terms of what that means for this week, I don't know. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that's going to keep him out long term. And so I think that they can survive if he does have to miss a game. That's one of those positions where you're already rotating guys in and out. It's not like missing your starting right tackle or your starting, strong safety, whatever it is. That's probably as good of a player as he is. And look, Lawrence, I think, really brings a physicality to their front that they didn't have last year with Draymond Jones. And so it wouldn't be insignificant, but not something that if he has to miss time that they would be unable to overcome.
Next up, still sticking with defense for the final two here. Number 4, rumors are always swirling in the NFL. We see all kinds of things that never actually come to fruition. It's just the nature of the industry. Those Riq Woolen rumors might be true. Riq Woolen could very seriously be traded.
Yeah, I don't think that is an overreaction, and I'm not hearing, that's not a report. Just to make that clear, I'm not reporting that I am told by direct sources that could happen. That is just my read based on a number of things over
context.
over the last few seasons. And again, I just go back to the fact that they had an opportunity to extend him this offseason. And look, when teams know about a player and they're confident in that player, they extend him a year before, as he's going into the final year of his rookie deal, because you end up getting a break on the average long term. Like, you end up paying that guy less because you still get that one season of, that cost-controlled rookie contract. And so the fact that they didn't do that, the fact that he has now been, slightly demoted to the number 3 cornerback role, again, after the up and down play last year, after, as I talked about yesterday, the fact that they chose to last year take discipline, just sort of publicly discipline him in a way that they could have done that privately. All that context considered, he's in the last year of his deal. I think it's fair to say that they have shown a lot of reluctance in committing to him long term. So, and they have, a lot of, talent around him in the secondary. So I think that's absolutely a fair thing to say.
Hey, speaking of that class as a whole, were you a little bit surprised that Abe Lucas was the only one to receive an actual extension? Obviously, they picked up Charles Cross' 5th-year option. You can't blame them for doing that. You can always extend him, obviously. But when that class finished their first season, you're going, oh my God, Ken Walker is a runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Riq Woolen is a runner-up for Defensive Rookie of the Year. After so many, what I thought were fair, critiques about drafting for this team, it looks like they really knocked it out of the park. And then subsequent years had some impressive signings too. Here we are when that class is eligible for extensions. And not only did Ken Walker and Riq Woolen not get those, but you're still looking at Kobe Bryant was eligible, or is there I don't know what's happened with a couple other guys. Boye Mafe, I think.
Another one. Yeah.
I was a little surprised. Were you?
Well, a few years ago, I would have thought that there would have been more than one guy to get an extension. But, as the years went on, you sort of looked at that group and you could look individually and say, yeah, a lot of those guys, they sort of have something to prove. I can see why the Seahawks would want to wait and see. Now, I can tell you this, and this is a report. This is a fact of the matter report, that they did try to extend Kobe Bryant, and the two sides were just too far apart. They made an attempt before training camp, and they just couldn't get a deal done. So, so they did try to extend him. Abe Lucas, I think he was maybe one of those guys that you could have said, they probably want to see how the knee holds up, but I think they ultimately got to a place where they said, okay, he's there, he's available for everything. He didn't miss anything over the offseason. And I think that contract represents kind of a gamble in, look, they feel really good about where his knee is at, and they know that if they wait, if they don't do a deal now, and if he stays healthy, like they think he's got a really good chance to do, all of a sudden a $15 million per year contract right now, that is well north of $20 million if you try to sign him as he's about to become a free agent. So that was sort of a bet that they made that he would stay healthy, knowing that you're going to get a hugely discounted rate now if you do it now versus a year from now.
Okay, I'm going to scrap the last one. I already know that you were going to say not an overreaction. I would bet money it was the Seahawks could end up with the best defense in the NFL. They're looking really, really solid. So getting rid of that one because there's something juicier I want to get to here. There's one statement I wanted to include, and I purposely did not because it's so important to the Seahawks' success. I wanted to talk to you about it on its own for 10 minutes. That's coming your way next on your home for the Mariners playoff run, Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
The Mike Macdonald Show, the morning after every Seahawks game at 9:30 with Brock and Salk.
How good was Sam Darnold last night?
Oh, he was great. He's awesome, man. He's great. He just so poised, accurate, competes, tough. Great decisions. I mean, I think the cool thing right now that showed up last couple of games is he's ripped it when it's there, and when it's not, he's taking care of the ball. And that's big time because you live to fight another day, and he's awesome.
Get the podcast on the Seattle Sports app and seattlesports.com.
When it comes to the security of your business, doubts can creep in about who you're trusting to protect it. At Bail Alarm, we got you. For nearly 80 years, we've been putting our customers' minds at ease with our advanced technology and personalized support. Feeling insecure about your current security service? Visit bailalarm.com today.
Imagine homes so well designed and so luxurious, they'll be setting the standard for decades. You're imagining a Mainview home. Now imagine a Mainview home on sale, saving $50,000 to $120,000.
Isn't that what Brett and Amy bought?
Yeah, it's a Mainview, and they saved a bundle.
What are you doing?
Looking at the Mainview website. It's now or never.
What's better than a Mainview home? A Mainview home on sale. Mainview communities across the Puget Sound.
A men's health moment with Revive Men's Health. Low testosterone can impact your energy, muscle tone, focus, and mood. A free testosterone check and personalized treatment plan from Revive Men's Health can help you feel like yourself again. Learn more at ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
Your home for baseball's postseason and your American League West champion Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Hey, Brock Heward here for my friends at PCF Construction. It was a couple years ago. We were seeking a complete outdoor living space. Molly wanted a new deck. She wanted to really make our outdoor space pop. And boy, am I glad we called PCF. Why? Because whether it's a very specific project or outdoor living, like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you completely covered. You know, Molly's an interior designer. She knows construction. She knows attention to detail. And PCF, they checked every single box along the way. And right now is the time to make the call. Up to $6,000 off your project, plus no payments and no interest until 2027. And you can save an extra $1,500 when you bundle your deck with a patio cover. Find all the offer details, get project ideas, and browse photos at pcfgroup.com or simply call today at 425-629-8476. That's 425-629-8476, PCFgroup.com.
The intent for the training is always to, of course, make a better experience for the customer. But from my position, I would say I'm most proud of watching our own people grow.
I think a lot of us really do want the opportunity. I will work my butt off for an opportunity.
I started cleaning cars. Now I have this great opportunity to be a president of one of the greatest auto organizations I feel there is. And it's not that I was smarter than anyone. It's just I was around great people and always wanted to learn. So for me, it's super fulfilling to be able to pass that along to people and see people with the same drive and want to make a great life for themselves, right? So that to me is training. That's gratifying for me.
When leaders focus on growing people, this is where leadership becomes service and customers feel the difference. The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
ESPN's Brady Henderson in for Michael Bumpus. In our last segment, I had you say whether or not some statements about the Seahawks were overreactions or not overreactions. There was one that I saved because I have a lot of questions about it, and you've got some really good numbers on it. It's also so vitally important for the Seahawks making a playoff push, and that is the run. The identity for the Seahawks, Brady, and you know this, is supposed to be the run game. Why isn't it quite working?
That's a tough one.
I know. Well, first, remind us of the number you told us yesterday in your interview when we asked about whether or not the yards per carry were a problem and kind of what you were seeing in some failed attempts.
Yeah, so, I mean, this was the case at least going into the Monday night games, but they had 33 rushing attempts over their first 4 games that either went for no yards or that lost yardage. Oof. That was the most in the NFL. So, you know, overall, the run game, I think in terms of rushing yards, they're middle of the pack. Yards per carry, they're in the 20s. But really, the biggest problem is that, you know, they have a lot of plays that just never get off the ground, and for whatever reason. And it's not like, you know, I looked at a lot of them, and it's not like there's one consistent problem where it's, you know, the running back's just not hitting the right hole, or some guy gets blown up and the whole play gets blown up. It's just a little bit of everything, and you know, I wouldn't know this part by watching it, but Mike Macdonald, when we asked him about that, he said, you know, there's also a kind of design and a play calling aspect of that problem as well. And so he did say yesterday that, you know, a lot of the things that they were really good for them, the run concepts that were good for them over the summer, and I assume he means in preseason as well, they haven't really been good for them this year. And so he talked about sticking to the process. So I don't think this is a case where they're going to go back to the drawing board. I think they're going to just try to figure out and fix, you know, and get going at the things that they have been, or that previously that they were doing well at. And so, you know, he talked about sticking to the process or whatever it was. And so, but that is kind of an odd thing, that just because you figured that this team was going to be able to hang its hat on the run game and the outside zone specifically, and for any number of reasons, they've just had a lot of plays that go nowhere.
Well, and there was certainly a narrative that was fairly established through the preseason, and I know it's the preseason, but I go back to that Chiefs game, and you're thinking, like, they might have tapped into something here. And not only that, but when Ryan Grubb was let go, parted ways, what have you, with this team, I think a lot of people felt like there was so much more here, whether it was with the offensive line, with the running back group, to explore, that there was a lot of meat left on the bone with what that run game could have been, rather than a lack of overall talent. So you add to the interior of your line with your first-round pick. Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet are healthy. Preseason looks solid, and then nothing. So I can't tell if it's some good run defenses, if it's good defensive lines that they faced. Maybe this is just a normal start. Sometimes we see weird things from teams, including good teams, to start the season.
Yeah, I think the first game, I think a big part of why they struggled to run the ball against San Francisco is that remember that 49ers defense sees a very similar offense in practice every day. And I think that Fred Warner and some of those other guys were probably a step ahead of them, just knowing what was coming. And that was probably part of what you saw.
I don't think it was MVS for anyone that's wondering.
No, it was not. It was not Marquez Valdez-Scantling giving them all the tips. I think Fred Warner. I think Fred Warner had a lot of those answers already, and he was just a step ahead of them. That obviously doesn't explain the next few games. Now, in that Pittsburgh game, I think they did run the ball pretty well in that game, and they put that game away with a 3rd and 19 touchdown run by Ken Walker III, and so there hasn't been the consistency outside of that. I don't think it's a matter of running backs like they're obviously Ken Walker and Charbonnet are splitting time. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of those guys not being able to get into a groove. I don't think that's a part of it. A lot of teams do that now, where there's the days of like the true bell cow running back. There's really only a few of those guys left in the NFL, so it's not uncommon to split reps like they're doing. And really the issue of a lot of those, run plays that are dead on arrival, that's not exclusive to either one of those guys. I think it's 13 for one and 15 for the other. So it's really an issue that has plagued both of those guys equally.
Now, it doesn't have to mean that it's some debilitating issue for the Seahawks offense. This was Daniel Jeremiah with Brock and Salk on the Seahawks run game struggles.
Yeah, I don't think that it matters as much as you still doing it enough to make them honor it. Like I doing the Chargers stuff, there was, they had just been exclusively throwing it for the most part until they finally got it going a little bit with Hampton this last week. But so at some point in time, they're not honoring these nakeds that you're running, coming out the back door with Herbert, because you haven't run it. So you not necessarily have to hit home runs or be even efficient, but we got to at least attempt it a few times so that we can kind of be able to hold some of these edge rushers.
Obviously, that was kind of an abstract conversation about run games in general. Does the same apply to Seattle, where they may not be a top 5 rushing offense in football by the end of the year the way that we'd hoped? Can they do it enough to keep the offense potent?
Yeah, and I think he makes a good point there about keeping defenses honest. If this was Ryan Grubb's offense last year and they were not running the ball all that well, I think that you would look at that and say, yeah, that's a problem, because that's not – I think that is an offense that needs to have success in the run game in order for defenses to really honor it, because, that's a high-volume passing offense. And so I think to DJ's point there, I mean, teams know that this team is going to run the ball whether it's working or not. And so, yeah, they are going to have to honor it. And, it just is a bit of a mystery as to why it's not happening. Now, I know there's a clip floating out there about Anthony Bradford and some his struggles in that game. I would add to that he did suffer a back injury going into that week, so I don't know, and I need to still watch the whole game with an eye on Bradford to know if he was really as bad as he looked in those clips. But that is a guy that they did not commit to him completely this offseason. Remember, he had to win that starting job, and I think that they knew all along that he was probably going to win it because he's a lot more talented than any of those other guys, but he's not a consistent player. And so that is potentially, if this continues and if they can't get the run game going, if he continues with some of that inconsistency, maybe that is a swap that they look to make later in the season. Now, the interesting thing there is that their best backup guard might be their current starting center. So, if they were to make a change at guard, I think what they would do, and Mike Macdonald sort of, he reiterated this yesterday, is that the plan would probably be, and he was talking about this in the context of like an injury, but they would probably move Sundell to guard and put Olu at center. Obviously, you're switching 2 starting spots there, so that might be a little bit tricky, but that is something for people to keep in mind if it looks like they get to a point where they start to consider making a change up front.
The Seahawks are one of 5 teams to have one interesting stat through 4 weeks this season. We're going to ask Brady whether or not it actually says anything or matters at all. Coming up in 4 Down Territory at 11:15. Coming up next, revisiting Richard Sherman's controversial comments about Russell Wilson. Hey, why didn't the Seahawks ever get back to a Super Bowl? That's next.
It's been 24 years since.
The 2001 Western Division champions.
Mariners Nation, you've earned this banner.
There's no better feeling than this. You know, we work so hard each day.
With a first-round bye in the bag, what's ahead for the AL West champion Mariners in the postseason?
It's a lot of great things ahead. I can feel it.
SeattleSports.com has the latest on the scenarios.
We're not done yet. We got a World Series to go get.
This is where you hear your AL West champion Mariners in the playoffs. Seattle Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Eric Johnson here. I spent the past 30 years working to help make our community better informed, better protected when it comes to consumer issues, and better equipped to take on whatever life throws at us. That's why I love the free Washington Accident book series from Davis Law Group. These books keep us better informed about the law, better able to protect ourselves on and off the road, and better off when all is said and done after an accident. Chris Davis didn't have to write these books. He did it because he saw a need. People who were in accidents or other legal situations didn't know what to do, what pictures to take, documents to request. Only a tiny fraction of the people who get these free books will ever become clients of Davis Law Group, but that's not the point. Chris wrote them because it was the right thing to do. The free Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the road might throw at them. Get yours at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
MLB playoffs start today. Guardians, Tigers underway now. Cubs host the Padres at noon. Yankees host the Red Sox at 3. Dodgers host the Reds at 6 p.m. Speaking of that Tigers game, Detroit up 1-0 over Cleveland, bottom of the 4th. Mariners play the winner of this series.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. ESPN's Brady Henderson in for Michael Bumpus today. And Brady, this is one of those conversations that I could talk about endlessly. It has nothing to do with recent injury news for the Seahawks, nothing to do with facing the Buccaneers on Sunday. We will get to some of that coming up in 4-Down territory. This is a big picture conversation. I love those conversations, especially when it comes to some of the biggest personalities this team has had, some of the best players this team has had. I am, of course, talking about Richard Sherman, Russell Wilson, and those two are at the center of the conversation we're going to have right now. You guys, everyone saw this on the Amazon's broadcast, but Richard Sherman talked about Russ not having success without the LOB. A lot of you have heard it again, but just as a reminder.
I think you got to judge his career off when the Legion of Boom was there. He had a legendary defense, an all-time defense, and how much success he had. And then without that legendary defense, the success he had. Without that legendary defense, he's been 4-11, 7-8. 0-3 to start with the Giants. He was a winning football player in Seattle, and people said, hey, winning is football player, all this good stuff, all these accolades, and now you get to go on your own and you get to prove, hey, I'm this great quarterback, I'm this guy that's going to be dominant, and it just hasn't worked out that way.
I think Richard Sherman knows more about football than most people on the planet, and Richard Sherman is one of the best players Seattle has ever seen, one of the best cornerbacks. His opinion carries a lot of weight for good reason. That being said, if I could so politely offer just like an outsider's perspective. Again, I might have been a reporter in the locker room, but this, by very much not having played, this is an outsider's perspective. But if I could just offer this, I don't think Russell Wilson was as good as Russell thinks he could have been or was. I think Russell thinks he was like an all-time quarterback, and I just don't think we saw that from him. Secondly, I think Russell Wilson got to that Super Bowl because of the Legion of Boom. The Legion of Boom was very clearly the biggest part of winning that Super Bowl. While I don't think they win with just anyone at quarterback, Russ wasn't carrying them there by any means. That's fundamentally true.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. Thirdly, though, I think that Sherman's argument is doing a bit of heavy lifting when it skips over the years that Russ was here without the Legion of Boom, and the years when Russ was here and the defense was top 10, 11 defense, the offense was top 10 or 11 and the defense was really struggling. Sherm goes from, when the Legion of Boom was here, which they were all gone by the end of 2017.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and then you're 4-11. It's wait,
no.
Sherm, bro, you skipped over 2018, 19, 20. There are real questions about Russell Wilson's play, but them never getting back to a Super Bowl, him never getting back to a Super Bowl, I don't think is entirely because of Russ. Yeah, it was because the Legion of Boom was no longer here, but it was also because you had a bad defense here.
Yeah, and this is a very complex
I love the
topic
conversation.
that we can't completely have this conversation in one segment, and that's why I give Sherman a bit of a pass here, because he's trying to make this very nuanced point in a 25-second sound clip. And so there's going to be some stuff missing there from his argument, which there is, to your point. I mean, that the Legion of Boom, let's kind of go back in time here. Remember, it was that 2017 season where Sherman unfortunately tore his Achilles. Cam Chancellor suffered the season.
Same game.
Yeah, same game, suffered the season or the career-ending neck injury. And they also lose Cliff Averill earlier that season.
I say week 4, like earlier.
Yeah, they ended up trading Michael Bennett after that season. So the Legion of Boom, as everybody knew it, was no longer after 2017. But you still had that 3-year stretch of 2018, 19, 20, where he goes 10-6, 11-5, 12-4. Now, according to my journalism math, which cannot always be trusted, that's a 33-15 record, right? And that was before the 2021 season where Russ hurts his finger. They go 7-10. He misses, a month or so on IR. So there is, to your point, that 3-year stretch there where he didn't have the Legion of Boom, and he was still winning at a very high rate. So really, I think we're grossly oversimplifying this to say that Russell Wilson's career fell off a cliff once he no longer had the Legion of Boom backing him. And I think I would agree with Sherman that he doesn't have nearly that same level of success that he had over his first 6-7 seasons.
Yeah, Sherman's right there.
Without an all-time defense.
Yeah.
No one is denying that. But I think what you're seeing is, look, we all read the Seth Wickersham story, the great story he wrote about how a lot of players on that defense felt like Russ got too much of the credit and that he took too much of the credit.
Fair.
And I think there is still some resentment among some of those guys, and I think that is what is at play here. But the pendulum is like swinging so far over when you say that he was never like that. His entire career fell off a cliff once he no longer had that defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think at the core of the point that either I think Sherman's trying to make or that other people have made when they critique Russell is, you're right, kind of revisiting that sentiment and going, hey, everyone that was giving him praise and him being part of an Eminem song and everyone losing their minds and the MVP talk and everyone thinking that the team was somehow holding Russ back, right? The Let Russ Cook campaign that started after was it the 2018 playoffs, that game against the Cowboys. That so much of that is unfair, and it makes it seem like Russ was the only good thing about this team, and that's not, how it really was. And I think it's applying fair frustration to the worst part of Russell's career because it was statistically the best. Now, you could say, oh, Russ had the best version of Baldwin during those years. Russ had, I don't know what else you want to give him credit there for, but I don't know, man. Russ had 34 passing touchdowns. Now, 2017, we counted that as the last year with the Legion of Boom. After the Legion of Boom, 35 touchdowns, 31 touchdowns, 40 touchdowns. 40 touchdowns would be leading the league most years. And in fact, having over 30 would put you usually top 3, maybe top 4 in passers every single year.
Yeah, and look, again, to be fair to Sherman, he's trying to make a very complicated point in 20 seconds, and you're going to miss some things. I think what also is missed in that very condensed argument is that the reason the Seahawks moved on from Russell Wilson when they did was because they saw a declining player. They saw a player whose skills were diminishing, and he was up for a contract. They would have had to pay him a lot of money, or he was about to be up for a contract. They would have had to pay him a lot of money for a guy who they didn't feel like was going to be the same player going forward because the legs and the escapability and the mobility that had been such a huge part of his game. They saw a guy who was well over 30 by that point and didn't have that same ability to escape and create plays. So that is obviously another part of why Wilson's career has gone the way it has over the last few seasons is, yes, he hasn't had the same defense. He hasn't also been in the same system that maybe has some guardrails in place, and he just isn't the same player physically.
I don't like being put in a position to stan Russell Wilson, who I've is a complicated person, and I don't like being in this place to and somehow back up that he's the best quarterback ever. That's not what I'm doing. But I think that we're talking about just fundamentally flawed football arguments here. We have a listener saying Russ was a jag, just a guy. They could have won with everyone. He was only successful because of the Legion of Boom. He was never great, just an average quarterback. We're talking about 2 Russells here. 3. The Russell that succeeded with the Legion of Boom because of the Legion of Boom. The Russell that was here, frankly, at some of his best years without the Legion of Boom and before he was physically declining. And then the Russ that was physically declining and the Russ that was with Denver. We got 3 versions here.
Yeah.
That middle version, again, 3 consecutive seasons of 30 or more touchdowns. Average quarterbacks don't do that. Does it mean he's a Hall of Famer? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Russell Wilson was really good for Seattle. And at the top of the list of why the Seahawks in 18, 19, and 20 didn't get to a Super Bowl, I would not have Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And look, I mean, this is sort of came up, I think, because there was a question about the Hall of Fame and whether or not he is, quote unquote, played his way out of the Hall of Fame. I think that is an entirely separate argument.
Yeah,
and that,
an interesting one.
It is, and
that
that depends on what you view as a Hall of Famer. I come at that conversation from the standpoint of, regardless, totally independent of Wilson, they're just letting too many people in the Hall of Fame. If you have to, and I agree, we had this conversation in the media room the other day, and Michael Sean Dugar made the exact point that I've always felt, that if you have to ask, the standard right now should be that if you even have to ask, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
A Hall of Famer should be no doubt about it. This guy was a transcendent generational player where you look at that player and say, in the prime of his career, you say, yes, that is one of the very best players in the NFL, and there are few, if any, guys at that position right now who are better than him. And so I think I come from the whole Hall of Fame argument from maybe a different perspective.
We should make the bar higher.
Yes, the bar should absolutely be higher.
What do you think about, though, when
Sterling
people...
Sharp, not a Hall of Famer.
Well, what do you think about when people look back and they go, okay, let's take Troy Aikman. I think if I asked the average, is Troy Aikman, they'd be like, yeah, well, not only is he a Hall of Famer, but absolutely, that guy won. What are you talking about? Generational talent. I think sometimes what people do is they compare stats to today and they go, well,
Different
wait a
eras,
minute.
yeah.
I can tell you that a chunk of passers in the NFL right now that people wouldn't think is Hall of Famers are crushing Aikman's numbers. What would you say to that kind of argument?
Yeah, I would say that you have to take into account
Era.
the context of the era. And when Troy Aikman was playing in the late 80s and 90s, offenses weren't nearly as pass heavy as there are. So, I mean, you will have guys that have long careers that never really, in today's football, you'll have guys that have long careers that you would never even consider this guy being a Hall of Famer, who might dwarf Troy Aikman's passing. I mean, let's say Andy Dalton. I haven't looked this up, but I'm going to go ahead and predict right now that Andy Dalton has more passing yards right now than Troy Aikman did in his career. Somebody can fact check me on that, but if that's the point I'm making, is that no one has ever considered Andy Dalton a Hall of Famer, but he plays in a pass heavy era, and he's naturally going to have more passing numbers than a guy who played when rushing was more in vogue.
I didn't save us a lot of time here, but I kind of want to wrap up with the big picture question that, frankly, we're not going to have time to answer, but I just like it. If both of us can agree that, all right, Russ wasn't at the top of the list of reasons why the Seahawks didn't get back to a Super Bowl for that stretch of time, why didn't they get back to a Super Bowl? Why haven't the Seahawks been back to the NFC Championship game since 2014?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, I think, again, it's we tend to look at this questions like this and we try to isolate the one thing, and I don't think it's one thing. I think they, when Pete Carroll had his outgoing press conference, someone asked him a question along these lines of, hey, why did the last few seasons go the way they did? Why weren't you able to recapture that success you had earlier? And he said they lost their edge to be great in the run game and in defense. And for whatever the root causes of those were, this just wasn't a team that was playing that style of football that it had. And he didn't say anything about the quarterback there, but yeah, the quarterback was also part of that.
I mean, maybe if you get back to, and I don't know that this is the point Sherman was making, but if you were counting on Russ only to lift you, no, he wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many teams can turn to their quarterback and him only to lift them. Look at the Bengals last year with Joe Burrow having an MVP caliber season, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah. I think to answer the question of why didn't they get back, I think I would say that part of that is that it's hard to get there.
Yeah,
and every year
underlying all of this.
Yeah, every year there's 30 teams that don't make the Super Bowl.
Including really good teams.
Yeah, and some of those teams that the teams that do get there or that have gotten there regularly are either teams with all-time, no doubt about it, Hall of Fame quarterbacks and or the greatest coach in NFL history. So it's hard to get there in the first place, and you got to have a lot of things going for you.
All right, let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, Brady Henderson in for Michael Bumpus. The Buccaneers have played 4 straight games decided by 1 possession. Does that streak continue on Sunday against the Seahawks?
Ooh, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that the Seahawks win this game by more than 1 possession. And that's no small prediction when you talk about how close NFL games tend to be. The spread on this game is, I think the Seahawks are favored by 3.5 points. But the reason I say that why I'm predicting more than a 1-score victory for the Seahawks is they're in a really good spot when you consider that they are, not that they're the most healthy team in the NFL, but they are coming off a mini bye. They are getting healthier. And if you look at Tampa Bay, injuries are piling up at a crazy rate for them. Mm-hmm. And, they don't have the benefit of coming off, an extra few days of rest. And so that's a team that has, for whatever reason, started slow a bunch of times this season. They're really banged up, and the Seahawks, I think, are kind of going in the opposite direction injury-wise.
Second down. All right, if the first month of the Seahawks season was all about the connection between Sam Darnold and JSN, is there another Seahawks player, either on offense or defense, that has a chance to make some noise of his own?
I think Elijah Arroyo is going to start to come on here. And, he had that great one of Sam Darnold's best throws in that game Thursday was one that was not completed, but it was one where he rolls out, throws kind of off his back foot and throws an absolute dime to Arroyo, who would have had a touchdown catch probably if the guy doesn't interfere with him. So Arroyo, I've said this before, and I will say it again, that over the offseason, he was consistently the most impressive rookie among all of the rookie skill guys, or really among all of the rookie class. And, he's obviously, you're only going to get so many targets when you're the number 2 tight end and probably the number, 4 or 5 overall target in a run-heavy offense. But I think he's got a chance to make some plays for them, and you've already seen a little bit of that.
Do you think Clint Kubiak's offense has a chance to make more usage of tight ends in general than maybe previous iterations of the Seahawks had? Because they've had some big names like Jimmy Graham or popular local guys like Will Dissly. They've just never quite been able to get the most out of that group.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Graham's still the all-time leading tight end in Seahawks history for whatever that's worth. But I think
over 3 seasons, including one where he missed half of it.
Yeah, it goes to show they haven't had a lot of productive tight ends in their history. Brian Nemhauser, Hawk Blogger, made a good point yesterday about how much more, 2 tight end, how much more they're going to play with 2 tight ends now that they don't have Robbie Oots, who's on IR with the ankle injury. And so you started to see that in the game against Arizona, and I think you could see that going forward. Whereas before, maybe plays where they had a fullback in there, maybe they're going to opt for another tight end instead. And so that could be an opportunity for Elijah Arroyo to continue to emerge.
Third down. I really should have made this my 4th down here. Missed opportunity. The Seahawks are one of 5 teams to have 3 or fewer 4th down attempts. Does that say anything about their aggressiveness, speak to a lack of faith in offense, or is this just a random stat that's through the first month of the season? We get through 4 weeks and suddenly we're going, oh my God, they're one of 3 teams to whatever. But they go for it on 4th down fewer than almost any other team.
Well, 7-8 years ago, you would have looked at the number of 4th down attempts and, you would have,
everyone would have 3.
Yeah, that wouldn't have seemed all that crazy. I think as the tush push for them continues to look like a good play, I think you're going to see them be more aggressive on 3rd down. Now, they didn't run it when they had an opportunity to. I think on the first drive against Arizona, they had a 4th and 1, and instead they, a tip of the cap to Ryan Grubb, they get in shotgun on 4th and 1 and hand the ball off to Zach Charbonnet. What happened there was Macdonald told us afterwards was that he miscalculated the actual length of the yard they needed. I think he probably thought it was closer to 2 yards or maybe a yard and a half. Really, it was actually a half a yard. And as well as they have done, albeit in a very, very, very limited sample size, I mean, they were basically 3-0 on the tush push to A.J. Barner before that. And I think had he realized that was only a half a yard, I think he would have done the same thing. And I think they would have had a really good chance of converting that. So that play looks like a good play for them. And the point of the tush push is that you run it until someone stops it.
Yeah.
And so I think you're going to see them. I think that they should. I don't know if you will, but I think that they should continue to be aggressive on 4th and short situations, because that play, it's proven that it can work for them.
Agree with your point that it's hard to make sense of it through just a month, other than sometimes maybe desperate teams go for it on 4th down more often. And I think when you look at the other 4 teams that are with Seattle and having gone for it 3 times or less on 4th down, it's such a jumbled group that you're like, I don't know what to make sense, or I don't know how to make sense of this. It's Green Bay, the Chargers, Steelers, and Bengals. All over, all over the spectrum there. So who knows?
And there maybe is a part of that is that Mike Macdonald trusts his defense more than he trusts his offense, maybe right now. And you know that if he's probably, there's some incentive to play the long game and to know that, you punt the ball away, your defense is going to get a stop.
4th down. Let's head outside of Seattle for this one, Brady. What NFL team has surprised you most through 4 weeks this season?
What NFL team has surprised me most through 4 weeks this season?
I have an easy answer to this one.
Do you? Okay. Well, I would say there's not a whole lot of
it's the
obvious.
Colts, Brady. It's the
Colts. Yes. Okay. It is the Colts with Daniel Jones at quarterback. Look, I think Daniel Jones you've kind of seen it the last few years with quarterbacks who get in a different setting. They get away from the bad situation they were in before that, and for whatever reason, they have some success. You saw it with Geno Smith. Now, he was in the same team, but he got an opportunity to play, and he showed that he can play. You're seeing it with Sam Darnold, who bounced around and got into a good system in Minneapolis after, I think, a really important year that he spent in San Francisco, and he turned it around. And maybe you are seeing that with Daniel Jones right now, who is among the league leaders in total QBR.
The Colts, now this was entering week 4, so I don't know if this is still true, but first in offensive DVOA and the second biggest point differential in the AFC. Pretty impressive. That being said, my runner-up to this would have been maybe like the Baltimore being 1-3. Which would you buy stock in? The Ravens are going to have a losing season, or the Colts are going to have a winning season?
Ooh.
Right? Because it's like, okay, these are 2 trends. We aren't quite sure. You're a month into the season.
Yeah, and then the other team,
but
the other team I was searching for when I was hemming and hawing was Kansas City, which started 0-2 and has now won 2 straight
around a bit.
with a win over the Ravens. Now, I have seen a little bit of conversation. Again, this is on Twitter and X, and who knows how real this is in real life. But some conversation about how, that defense. There's some people there who wish that they had hung on to Mike Macdonald and made Mike Macdonald the head coach. And if you look at that defense, really has not been the same since Mike Macdonald left. And
just lost some guys too.
They're banged up injury wise as well. So that is a good question. I'm going
Indy.
I might say Indy too.
Indy.
I might say Indy too. I mean, the Ravens are 1-3 right now, so they've got they are in a bit of a hole right now. And Indy plays in what is probably the worst division in football, I would say. So they don't have a lot of stiff competition with the other 3 teams in that division.
Is there trouble in paradise between the Eagles and A.J. Brown? That's next on your home for the Mariners playoff run. Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Wyman and Bob, every afternoon at 2.
It's an interesting game, Dave, in Arizona, as it always is. It looked really one-sided. It looked like they were going to blow the doors off this Cardinals team. I mean, it was a tale of 3 quarters and 1 quarter.
Honestly, before the game, I was like, this could be a blowout. And it was headed that way, but then they just kind of let them back in. So, yeah, there were some things to not like there, but on the road against an NFC West opponent, I thought it was a good, solid win.
Only on Seattle Sports and Seattle Sports on YouTube.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with AutoPay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just 1 cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, Ookla trademarks used under license, unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization, video streams, and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Comcast Business can help turn your small business into a connected, secure, modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How healthcare offices become the data-protecting caregivers that we all depend on. And how wealth management firms become cyber-securing guardians of your information. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, and Wi-Fi backup, your business can stay connected and get threat-ready with Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Now through November 16th, new Comcast Business customers can get started with 150 megabit internet plus security for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and autopay with bank account. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Hey man, gaining weight, dragging throughout the day, losing your drive? It could be your testosterone. The team at Revive Men's Health Washington gets men back on track with the energy and drive they've been missing. Meet Tyler, Revive Men's Health Director of Operations and witness to hundreds of success stories.
I've seen guys come in worn out, discouraged, and just not themselves. A few months into treatment, they're standing taller, speaking with more confidence. It's like watching someone come back to life, like a light switch gets turned back on. When a spouse says, "Thank you, I really have my partner back, better than before," that's the moment it all clicks for me, and that's why I do what I do.
Since 2011, Revive Men's Health has helped more than 120,000 men regain their energy and drive. Start your story today with an in-clinic visit or a secure video appointment. Call 206-529-1111 now to book your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation. That's 206-529-1111 or schedule anytime at revivemenshealth.com.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder. An equal housing opportunity builder.
Want more Seahawks content? Join me, G. Scott, on The Reset. New episodes of the podcast every Monday and Thursday on YouTube or on the Seattle Sports app.
You gave years, maybe decades to your job. You showed up, worked hard, and planned for retirement. But now, the company's changed. Or maybe you've taken a buyout or been forced into early retirement. So, what happens next? I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you've built up a 401k or thrift savings plan, now is the time to ask, is that money really working for you? Many workplace retirement plans offer limited options and even less guidance. At Trajan Wealth, we help people just like you roll over their accounts into IRAs with more flexibility and personalized investment strategies built around your goals. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a personalized plan. We operate on veteran values, service, trust, and doing what's right. Your next chapter starts now. Call Trajan Wealth, 206-466-3300. That's 206-466-3300.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Hey, Brock Heward here for my friends at PCF Construction. It was a couple years ago. We were seeking a complete outdoor living space. Molly wanted a new deck. She wanted to really make our outdoor space pop, and boy, am I glad we called PCF. Why? Because whether it's a very specific project or outdoor living, like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you completely covered. You know, Molly's an interior designer. She knows construction construction. She knows attention to detail. And PCF, they checked every single box along the way. And right now is the time to make the call. Up to $6,000 off your project, plus no payments and no interest until 2027. And you can save an extra $1,500 when you bundle your deck with a patio cover. Find all the offer details, get project ideas, and browse photos at pcfgroup.com or simply call today at 425-629-8476. That's 425-629-8476, pcfgroup.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
ESPN's Brady Henderson in for Michael Bumpus, taking a look around the NFL. Are things all right between the Eagles and A.J. Brown? Brown's slow start has led some to believe that he'll ask out, but Nick Sirianni was asked whether Brown still wants to be in Philly, said this.
Is it your understanding that A.J. still wants to be here?
Yeah. Obviously AJ is very important to this football team. I know he wants to contribute. and, do the things that he's capable of doing. I question nothing about, his desire to play great football, his desire of being a good teammate, his desire to be here.
The Eagles have been outgained by 327 yards through 4 games, which is the 4th worst margin in the NFL. Notable stat from last week, they didn't complete a pass in the second half. And yet, Brady, they're undefeated.
Yeah, the Eagles train just keeps on rolling. By the way, shout out to my guy Tim McManus, my ESPN colleague, for asking that question of Nick Sirianni. I cannot imagine that A.J. Brown gets traded. Look, he hasn't had the kind of production that he probably wants, but he's still getting targeted by quite a bit. He had 9 targets in one game, 10 in another, 8 in another. I think he only had 1 target maybe.
Yeah. It's one thing if you're not being incorporated at all.
Right. He is getting involved. He had a 100-yard game. So, look, this is cooler heads are going to prevail here. And look, A.J. Brown, like a lot of receivers, it seems like he may have some high maintenance to him. But this seems like a storm that both sides are going to be able to weather.
I also think this might be a storm that's just kind of a yearly occurrence. Like, I might accept that, like, every single year I'm going to draft A.J. Brown on fantasy football. He's going to have a week where he gives me no points and I lose. And then the following days, we're going to hear about him wanting out of Philly. It's going to be like an annual tradition.
Yeah, and
there's Labor Day, and then there's A.J. not being involved in wanting to trade.
And the best team in the NFL who's going for another Super Bowl is not going to trade their number 1 receiver in the middle of the season.
Absolutely
so I understand why the question has to be asked, but if you just take it a step further and say how this is going to play out, I think this will it will get resolved enough to where they don't have to make a drastic move like that.
Some interesting statements from players around the league after week 4. Let's go to this one. Does SoFi Stadium pump in crowd noise for Rams and Chargers games? Colts safety Cam Bynum, leader in touchdown celebrations, and interception celebrations right now. He emphatically says yes.
They play fake crowd noise because their crowd isn't that turned. The Rams, they have a good fan base, but they've moved around so much where it's not like true fans. It's more of like a celebrity show in there.
Yeah, facts. It is. They'll be doing that.
So it's like, all right, I know this is fake.
They're playing fake crowd noise? That's so weak.
Because on third downs, you see the crowd is sitting down, but somehow there's noise coming from somewhere. So we're just looking around last year. We're like, hold on, that noise is coming from the speakers because this crowd nobody's turned up right now.
Brady, you've covered an NFL game, and I'm guessing like most stadiums around the league at this point, if not all of them. Do stadiums actually pump in fake crowd noise?
That is an interesting observation from him. And, I think a player would actually have a good feel for that. Now, I don't think you could say it with any certainty. I can tell you this, though. About 10 years ago, the Atlanta Falcons got in a lot of trouble for doing that. And it was proven that they did it like the couple seasons before that. They got disciplined by the NFL for pumping in crowd noise at the whatever their home stadium was called at that point, and I think they lost a draft pick. They got fined. Now, the real fascinating part about that story, Stacy, was that they traced it back to the guy who was responsible. He was some guy in one of their
game
event
day
people.
Ops or something?
The guy's name was Roddy White. So he just happened to have the same name, which is not a very common name, as the number 1 receiver on the team. But the guy's name was Roddy White. He got fired. So that was just a fascinating coincidence to that story. But But the fact of the matter is, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be unprecedented if teams were doing that. But I think at the same time, you could say that teams know that there's a pretty steep price to pay if you do that. So that would be a pretty significant incentive to not do it.
Next up, in quotes of the week from week 4, as we look around the NFL, Breece Hall is tired of the Jets' self-inflicted wounds that have contributed to their 0-4 start.
It's just a tale of, 3 out of 4 losses. Teams will shoot themselves in the foot, and we come back and shoot ourselves in the head. So you can't win if, or offensively, if we're not converting on third down, if we're not getting us to third and manageables. We're in 2nd and 25, 2nd and 20, 1st and 15, getting stupid, dumb penalties and stuff. So that's been a frustrating thing.
Now, 2 things I want to say here about this, Brady. Number 1, heavy-handed metaphor there from Breece Hall. Secondly, he's not wrong to be deeply frustrated. It feels like the Jets, I don't want to say every year, but for the last couple years have been a team with talent, individual talent, guys that could be Pro Bowlers, all pros, and they can never get it together regardless of quarterback, regardless of head coach.
There needs to be a study commissioned on why that team has been so hapless for so long. I mean, the one thing you tend to look at is what's the one constant in there throughout all the roster turnover. It's the Jets and it's the ownership. So that would maybe be the most logical explanation. But yeah, this is a team that, whatever your metaphor is, they just have a tendency to beat themselves. At 101 yards, I think it was, in penalties last night. They also coughed the ball up. Breece Hall's backup, Braylon Allen, got fumbled right as he was about to cross the goal line. So the thing about, I'm putting myself in the reporter's shoes. If you were to ever hear a comment like that from a player, your first reaction would be, wow, that is an amazing quote. And then you would think oh my gosh, I don't even know if my editors are going to let me use this because it's such, as you said, a graphic
it's
metaphor.
A lot. We some teams shoot themselves in the foot and then we go and shoot ourselves in the head. That's crazy, Breece.
Yeah. So that would be that'd be kind of like a tough spot to be in as a reporter because you'd want to use that quote, but I don't know.
A great perspective there of even in games where another team coughs up the ball, where another team is getting penalized, we find some way to do that more. And how frustrating is that? When another team is trying to hand you the game, we bumble it.
Yeah, and that's not a very good Dolphins team. They were 0-3 going into that game. And, they lose their best offensive player in Tyreek Hill. And the game still ends up like that. So 0-4. There's just never a dull moment covering that team and really the team across town as well.
Well, Sauce Gardner has another theory when it comes to those penalties. Again, 13 for 101 yards. He says his team doesn't get as many calls from refs because they're a losing team.
Us not winning, because I watch football all the time. And I just feel I don't know if this is wrong to say, but I think I get called for more stuff just based off of us just not winning. I watch these winning programs and it'd be some egregious things and it don't get called, letting the players play. I got caught on something today where it's I know the route, everything, and I'm just supposed to let him just push off the top of the route. I'm seeing kind of steps, all that, if you're not going to catch the ball regardless. I just feel in general, even the Mike Evans one, I just feel us not winning, that's just what goes on. We don't win, and I feel we don't get the calls that we should get, and we get called for the calls that we probably shouldn't get called for. So, obviously that's not the only reason why I want to win. I want to win because I don't like losing.
Brady, do losing teams get called more for penalties because they're already losing? Conversely, do winning teams sometimes get away with them?
I've never heard that logic be applied, what he was saying there, where losing teams get called for more. Certainly referee officials have a book on certain teams that maybe if they're more prone to doing something, maybe they might be more prone to calling it because they know going into the game that that's something that they've got to look out for. But I think what is fair to say that sometimes happens is big-time players get certain calls that other players don't get. So
big-time players are on those winning teams.
Yeah, you would think that might apply to Sauce Gardner as the highest-paid cornerback in the NFL, but that's an interesting perspective from him that I've never heard. Just one thing I would add there is that the Garrett Wilson had a touchdown in that game that if you look at it, you could easily argue that he was still bobbling the ball when he got his second foot in bounds. So the Jets did benefit from maybe a questionable call in that game.
Well, and I think it's kind of a chicken and egg situation where, yes, is Patrick Mahomes going to get away with a few things? Is Josh Allen going to get away with a few things? And are they going to get a call or two going their way because they, ham it up a little bit? Yeah. they're MVPs, they're superstars. That's just going to happen, exactly like you said. But also, you're also losing because you're committing penalties. So it's kind of something that goes hand in hand. You cannot tell me that every single one of those 13 flags that were thrown on the Jets the other night were completely undeserved. You're a losing team because you're sloppy. And also, because you're losing and sloppy, they might be keeping an eye out for things that you're going to be doing.
Yeah, I agree. And some quarterbacks, I think when I said that some players get calls, I mean, you see big time quarterbacks get calls, get flags sometimes because the NFL obviously has a lot of incentive to protect those guys. That's a whole different scenario than what we're talking about with Gardner, but I don't know. I'd have to look at some of those individual plays. I just know that I've never heard that logic being applied to losing teams.
Daniel Jeremiah was talking to Brock and Salk this morning, and when revisiting Sam Darnold's 2024, says he felt like the criticism he was getting last season was unfair. That's next.
ESPN senior MLB insider Jeff Passett with Brock and Salk.
How complete is this Mariner team right now?
We have a story coming out on ESPN.com. I think it's tomorrow. First question, what's the boldest prediction you've heard from an MLB executive or scout? Passing. The Seattle Mariners are going to win the World Series. If you just objectively look at what the Mariners are doing right now, they've had the best offense in Major League Baseball in the month of September.
Get more on the Seattle Sports YouTube page and the Seattle Sports app.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
When the heat's an 11,
cool AC would be heaven.
Dayandnight.net. Get end-of-season savings of 30% off an air conditioner or heat pump while supplies last at Day and Night.
Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Call us about installing a high-efficiency cooling system or servicing your existing one so you're cool when you need it.
Save 30% off an air conditioner or heat pump, plus no payments or interest for a year OAC. Call for details.
Dayandnight.net.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday, but sometimes we don't see what's right in front of us. Victory over cancer is in front of us. Right now, cancer research is saving lives. Cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to new discoveries and new treatments, and ultimately, one day, victory over cancer. Give to the V Foundation. Right now, 1 out of every 2 men and 1 out of every 3 women will get cancer in their lifetime. Now is your moment. You may save someone you love. 100% of your donation goes directly to game-changing research. 100%. Donate at v.org. Because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
The Bump and Stacy Show is powered in part each day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to pendergastlaw.com.
When it comes to the security of your business, doubts can creep in about who you're trusting to protect it. Are they a reliable service? How will I know if something happens? Are they keeping everyone safe? At Bay Alarm, we got you. For nearly 80 years, we've been putting our customers' minds at ease with our advanced technology and personalized support. Feeling insecure about your current security service? Visit bayalarm.com today to talk to a local security expert.
Tired of unwanted clutter taking over your space? Well, say goodbye to it all with Happy Hauler, Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal service. Tune into Cairo News Radio, 97.3 FM or KTTH AM 770 for Home Matters, featuring Happy Hauler this Saturday at 2 p.m. Discover how Happy Hauler can help you declutter and reclaim your home, all while donating as much as possible to those in need. So make yourself, your family, and your community happy. Go to happyhauler.com. Hauling with a heart.
Sometimes even heroes need rescuing.
I'm a retired firefighter, 27 years.
Kurt had severe pain in his knees and his shoulder, which was keeping him from enjoying his well-deserved retirement.
Loved to ski, loved to fish, and couldn't even walk 18 holes.
That's why Kurt decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
He was just awesome. He goes, yeah, give me a shot. And he took care of me. He stemmed my knee and my shoulder.
And how are you feeling now?
I was pain-free in 12 weeks. I play golf now pain-free, and it's awesome.
So you'd recommend this treatment to others in your situation?
Absolutely. Yeah, Dr. Wagner's, he's had a couple people call me, and I recommended that they do it.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The Mariners need you at T-Mobile Park this week to help the squad prepare for the ALDS. So be here for postseason scrimmages tomorrow at 2 p.m. and Thursday at 5 p.m. Tickets are just $10. On sale now at mariners.com/scrimmage. Brady Henderson of ESPN in for Michael Bumpus. And Brady, I've got 4 bits of sound here, 4 points made by Daniel Jeremiah this morning with Brock and Salk that I want to revisit. The first is about Sam Darnold, in which he says he feels, Daniel Jeremiah feels like maybe the criticism in hindsight that we had of Sam Darnold last postseason was a little unfair.
Yeah, and that's why I kept telling people that, the end of the year is who he was. And I'm like, guys, I'll give you one game. I'll give you the Detroit game. He didn't play good in that game. Okay, that's one game. The Rams game, I think he got sacked 9 times in that game. There's nobody that's doing anything. I don't care what. Look at Patrick Mahomes in those Super Bowls when he's got heated up like that. That's not a quarterback problem. That's a much bigger problem. And I think it was just convenient for people who didn't, who wanted to be, we were right that Sam Darnold could never play. And even though I've got these, 15 examples of how great he played last year, I'm going to latch on to 2 of them, one of which, Tom Brady wouldn't have done anything against the Rams that day.
Was criticism of Darnold last year going into this season unfair? Founded?
I think the skepticism was fair in terms of, look, the guy had, kind of struggled and bounced around over the first 5-6 seasons of his career.
He's had one great year. That's it.
Yeah. Now, I do agree with DJ in the sense that if you're just cherry picking that one game, that 9-sack debacle as, evidence of what Sam Darnold is and what he might regress to, I think that's unfair because if you go back and look at those sacks, it's a lot of plays that just had no chance. And for whatever reason, we talked earlier about how that offensive line really deteriorated and was kind of in a bad spot by the end of the season. And certainly when he's facing pressure like that, you got to look at beyond the quarterback. And maybe they just aren't doing a good enough job of setting up their protections. Maybe guys are just maybe they're just overmatched up front. But that was not, you can't put that all on, well, this is a guy who, has a tendency to hold on to the ball. That part is true. Like earlier in his career, he did have a tendency to hold on to the ball.
When he talked about this offseason with you guys in interviews at training camp, being like, I want to cut back on this. That's one thing I'm focused on.
Yeah, and I think that only would have helped to a degree in that game because, as DJ said, the problems, it wasn't like, he's sitting back there with clean pockets and plenty of time to throw, and he just is indecisive, and then the rush gets to him. A lot of those sacks were plays that just didn't have a whole lot of chance from the get-go.
Earlier in the show, you and I talked about the potential trade of Riq Woolen, whether that possibility was a real one, and you said yes, it is. The natural question that follows is, okay, well, what would a trade look like? What could you get for Riq Woolen? Is this something they'd actually do? What's the risk here? So Brock and Salk were talking about that this morning with Daniel Jeremiah. Here's what he said.
To me, it felt more like you get like a 5 that turns into a 4. At the most, I would think a 4 that could turn into a 3. That seems like maybe that coffee's a little rich, but I think that's the family of which you're looking at in terms of compensation. If I were the Bengals and I was a Bengals fan and we decided to trade Trey Hendrickson for anything other than somebody that can protect Joe Burrow if and when he comes back, then that would be a mistake.
Well, they'll throw in Anthony Bradford in the deal.
Oh, there you go. Sweetener. We like call a little sweetener there on the top.
Okay, no, you're not getting Trey Hendrickson as part of a trade where you're giving up Riq Woolen. What about an offensive lineman?
I think that's one of the blind spots for GMs in the NFL, to be honest. I think there's more opportunity of we can each help each other type situations where we've got a little depth here, you got a little depth there. And I'm not even saying like backup. I'm talking like some starting caliber, good players. But, hey, you've got 5-6 good defensive linemen, and we have a hole in this department, and you've got some corners, a little excess there. They just don't do it. I don't understand why more of it doesn't happen because it seems like they're out there where we can both be better. There's no need for anybody to lose a trade. There's no reason for this to be a we get today, you get tomorrow in terms of, draft picks. Like, this is something we can do right now that's going to help both of our teams.
Daniel Jeremiah doesn't think that Riq Woolen is going to be involved in some kind of trade involving Trey Hendrickson. And in regards to offensive linemen, Brady, I've seen so many people say, hey, you need offensive line help. What about a trade involving that? Daniel Jeremiah saying you just don't see it a lot.
Well, I think it's probably because there just aren't a lot of teams that have enough good offensive linemen, let alone a surplus of offensive linemen. So, in a perfect world, you would get someone to play right guard and be an upgrade over Anthony Bradford, but I just don't know if that guy out there exists. And so, look, I think if you are, and again, we may be putting the cart before the horse, although I do think that this is very much a worthwhile conversation, just given everything we've talked about, the situation with Woolen. But if you are looking at what they could get, if you are doing just Riq Woolen for a draft pick, I don't know if it would make a whole lot of sense to do it for anything less than a 4th-round pick next year because, again, if you hang on to him and you let him walk in free agency, he's presumably going to get a pretty big deal that would probably get them a 3rd-round compensatory pick in 2027. And as we all know, the sort of general rule of thumb is a draft pick sort of when you go from one year to the other, it's sort of a round difference. So a 2027 3rd-round pick would be the equivalent of a 2026 4th-round pick. So if I'm them, I'm not doing it for anything less than a 4th-round pick. And also, I mean, ideally, look, this is not a team that's in a rebuilding mode where they're trying to just acquire draft picks. This is a team that looks like it has very good chance of winning the division and making a playoff run. So I think you would probably prefer to get some sort of player that would help you right now. Again, I don't know if it's going to be an offensive lineman because I don't know if that guy exists, but maybe there's, a good inside linebacker. Maybe there's another edge guy to bolster your depth there, whatever it is. I would imagine that if they do get to a point where they make that move, I think a player to help them right now would make more sense than a draft pick that they aren't going to see for a while.
All right. Well, we didn't have enough time to get to this last cut. He had so much good stuff to say about Leonard Williams. Daniel Jeremiah's interview is on the Brock and Salk podcast. And Brady, you are headed out of here. Why don't you tell people what to keep an eye out for on ESPN.com?
Good question. I gotta talk to my editor here
gotta
a
make
little
some
bit.
pitches
Yeah, I don't have
here.
a great answer for you, but I'll have some story.
Well, keep your eyes glued to ESPN for Brady Henderson's work all year long, obviously covering this team. A really exciting start to the season. I know week 1 started with a loss, and everyone was frustrated, and I had very real concerns about wide receiver depth. But, Brady, it's been pretty fun to cover what this team has improved on over the last 3 weeks. You picking them over Tampa Bay on Sunday?
I am. Yeah, with Tampa Bay's injury situation and the Seahawks are going in the opposite direction health-wise, yeah, I'm going to pick the Seahawks.
I feel good about that one, too. He is ESPN's Brady Henderson. Thanks, Brady.
Thank you for having me.
Rob Staton coming up next.
It's been 24 years since
the 2001 Western Division champions.
Mariners Nation, you've earned this banner.
There's no better feeling than this. You know, we work so hard each day.
With a first-round bye in the bag, what's ahead for the AL West champion Mariners in the postseason?
It's a lot of great things ahead. I can feel it.
SeattleSports.com has the latest on the scenarios.
We're not done yet. We got a World Series to go get.
This is where you hear your AL West champion Mariners in the playoffs. Seattle Sports.
It is that time of year. I cannot wait for the weather to get warm like it is now on consecutive days. That means I can break the motorcycle out, ride to work, ride all over the place, and I love it more than just about anything. But I also know that it's not a matter of if, but when you get in an accident, what are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you, when you're injured in a motorcycle crash, don't settle for firms that say they're motorcycle lawyers. Trust the ones who live it. Law Tigers has been a part of the writing community for nearly 25 years nationwide. They're here 24/7, 365 days a year because writers deserve real support when they need it. Law Tigers is the resource writers can turn to when they are in need. Law Tigers is out at all the events and supporting all clubs and shops. The Law Tigers are always by your side. Your case evaluation is always free. There are no fees until your case settles. The Law Tigers, you never ride alone. Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers. Jimmy Cook, 539 Broadway, Unit 104, Tacoma, Washington, 98402.
Imagine homes so well designed and so luxurious, they'll be setting the standard for decades. You're imagining a main view home. Now imagine a main view home on sale, saving $50,000 to $120,000.
Isn't that what Brett and Amy bought? Yeah, it's a main view, and they saved a bundle. What are you doing? Looking at the main view website. It's now or never.
What's better than a main view home? A main view home on sale. Main view communities across the Puget Sound.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. And you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain, and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Hey man, gaining weight, low energy, lost drive? It could be your testosterone. Revive Men's Health Washington helps men get their edge back. Meet Tyler, Revive Men's Health Director of Operations.
When men start treatment, it's not just their labs that change. You see it in their posture, their energy, and how they walk into the room. That's why I do what I do.
Call 206-529-1111 now to book your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation. That's 206-529-1111. Or schedule anytime at revivemenshealth.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The first of 4 wildcard games underway right now. Tigers up 2-1 over the Guardians. Bottom of the 7th. Mariners will play the winner of this series in the ALDS, which begins Saturday in Seattle. Cubs and Padres begin their series right now in Chicago. Winner faces the Brewers. Coming up later today, Yankees host the Red Sox at 3 p.m. Winner of that series faces the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers host the Reds at 6 p.m. Winner faces the Phillies.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Rob Staton of Seahawks Draft Blog joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Also on video, the Seattle Sports app or Seattle Sports YouTube page. Rob, how's it going?
Very good, thanks, yeah. Loving the fact the Seahawks have won 3 in a row since I was
God.
in Seattle, so absolutely loving it.
Yeah, it's been a wild week in Seattle with the Mariners and then the Seahawks winning Thursday. I wanted to start with some really optimistic takes on the season. Maybe not even too optimistic, maybe just fair ones. Dan Graziano has his overreaction column for ESPN. One of the statements was, the Seahawks are the team to beat in the NFC West, and he said, not an overreaction. Now, he did add that he could see a world where any of the 4 teams continue to take the division. It feels very much with the Cardinals struggling off and on to get their offense going, with the 49ers injuries that we're once again talking about, okay, who's better between the Rams and the Seahawks? Is that how you see the division right now?
Yeah, I think you have to. The Nick Bosa injury has created a real issue for the Niners. I suspect that they may get aggressive. They're going to look at the trade deadline and potentially go after someone like Trey Hendricks and the Niners to have somebody who can fill that void. And they may well come again and be a real contender. But you look at the way the Seahawks are playing since they lost to the Niners. You look at the way that the Rams are playing. The Rams blew that game in Philadelphia. They should probably have won that game. And they probably should have lost to the Colts. You know, they were pretty lucky at times in that game, but Matt Stafford's playing very well. Puka Nakua's playing very well. They've got some good young defenders. Jared Verse is obviously a quality player. So, yeah, I think it is between those 2 teams. It's the Seahawks and the Rams. The Seahawks have just got to keep winning. They're not going to play each other until November. So they've got to just stay on track here, stay on course, continue to stay out of their own way. They've got a big home game against the Buccaneers coming up. So if they can win that one, yes, very much that is how I would see it. It's between the Seahawks and the Rams right now.
Rob, weird finish to the Thursday night game against the Cardinals as the Seahawks held on, kicked the game winner as time expired. What was the most encouraging thing you saw from the Seahawks in their win over Arizona?
I think there was so many good positive things from that game. Like, they dominated the game right until the last 10 minutes. I don't know what happened in that final 10 minutes on defense, which allowed the Cardinals to have a sniff of a chance of winning that game. But even then, like, look, I don't know what you guys were thinking, but when I'm watching that and they get the touchdown at the end, I'm concerned. I'm thinking they've got all of the momentum right now. The Cardinals are going to have a real good chance to win this if it goes to overtime. And for the Seahawks to come back from that, yes, the kick situation helped and they get the ball at the 40-yard line, but You've still got to make a play in that situation to get you in position to kick a game-winning field goal. Sam Darnold delivers. Jackson Smith-Njigba makes another big play. And then Jason Myers, I feel like people have talked more about the Jason Myers miss than the kick that he got to win the game in the end. And yes, it's disappointing that if he gets the kick earlier, it's game over. He doesn't make it. But when the Seahawks needed him to get the kick, to win that game, to just close it out, he delivered. So I think it was really positive that they dominated for 3.5 quarters. And then when they needed to win the game again, they found that drive at the end to do it.
What do you think's gone on behind them not quite getting some consistency with the run? You're absolutely right. Last week, including the week before, you said, hey, I'm waiting to see not just Charbonnet and Walker kind of running, like working it at the same time, but waiting to see some consistency there. ESPN's Brady Henderson was co-hosting with me earlier today and said the Seahawks have a league-high 33 rushing attempts with no yards gained or loss of yardage. What are you seeing with the run game?
I just think it's going to take a bit of time. And it's really encouraging that I think the Seahawks have got the 6th ranked offense on DVOA so far. So clearly the offense is doing a lot of good things, but the run game is taking a little bit of time to work things out. The blocking at the moment isn't good enough. The outside zone stuff, it kind of seems to work half the time. And then the rest of the time it's getting shut down on the perimeter. The inside stuff, they're not seemingly getting those sort of big gains. That's not, you can live with kind of like no yards on a run, 3 yards on a run, 2 yards on a run. If the next one goes for 15, right, they're not really getting that. It tends to be a lot of like 1 or 2 yard runs up the middle, and then maybe they can bounce outside. So they've got to get that consistency in the block in there. Let's remember, it's a young team. It's a young offensive line. You've got a new left guard. You've got a new center. Anthony Bradford did not look healthy in the game last week, so hopefully he's going to bounce back from that. Abe Lucas is, we have to give him a bit of time, to get back into, perhaps his absolute best form because he's missed so much football. So I think they will get there. It's just taken a little bit of time to do so. But I'd say this, if they do get that running game worked out, and if they can get that running game into the top half of the NFL, then they're in a really good place because the passing game's rolling, the defense is playing well. If you add a running game to that, then the NFC needs to watch out.
Rob, it was a quiet weekend for the Seahawks because they played that Thursday night game. But on Sunday morning, we saw from NFL Network's Ian Rappaport that other teams could be checking in on the availability of Riq Woolen. Now, I think a lot of people kind of misconstrued this as the Seahawks shopping Riq Woolen around when the report was like, no, other teams are just potentially could check in. Do you see a world in which Riq Woolen is out of a Seahawks uniform come the November 4th trade deadline?
Yes. I think that report only gets out if the agents of Riq Woolen wants that out there and it's almost a come and get me plea, or the team wants that out there because they just want to see if there's anybody out there who's willing to make an offer that will tempt them. Now, that doesn't guarantee that anything's going to happen if nobody's willing to offer anything. And here's the thing we have to remember with Riq Woolen. He was an incredibly talented player going into the draft. He was talked about a lot. Jim Nagy was talking him up a lot because he was going to go to the Senior Bowl. Everybody knew about the amazing athleticism. Everybody kind of expected he was going to go round 2 or round 3. And he lasted to round 5. So the league has already sort of had all of the information it needs on Riq Woolen, and they allowed him to last until round 5. The Seahawks took a chance. He had a great rookie year. He's had some up and down plays since. I don't think the league, based on what we've seen so far, is now going to go, yeah, do you know what? We didn't want to draft this guy in round 3 or round 4, but now we're going to give you that kind of a pick because he had a good season in 2022. So there's not the guarantee that they're going to get a great offer for Riq Woolen. I get the sense the Seahawks might be ready to move on because the flashes are great, the too few and far between, the inconsistencies, he just isn't working them out. And maybe they want to go with Joe, Kendrick, these other players, and Mawari's coming back, and give them the opportunity to start because they're simply more consistent and more fitted to what Mike Macdonald wants to do. So I think that the chances of him leaving are pretty high. It's now what can they get, and is there going to be an offer out there to tempt them? But they might have to accept something like a 5th rounder or a 6th rounder because I don't think you're going to get much more than that.
Again, we've been so pleased with what we've seen from the Seahawks team, particularly in these 3 consecutive wins. But is there someone on this team, either offensively or defensively, that you're like, I feel like he could be in store for a big November, really excited if he can get going?
Do you know, that's a great question. I would imagine, I'm going to go with Elijah Arroyo. I'm going to go with Elijah Arroyo because that was the player that after the draft I was extremely excited to see in this offense. And because we've seen this offense and the Shanahan system working with tight ends before, I thought, great, his role within this thing, it's going to be very interesting to see. And we've just seen little snippets of it. We've seen flashes from Elijah Arroyo. And I think they tried to get him a little bit more involved. You saw that in the red zone in the last game against Arizona. I just think there's maybe a bit more to come from him, that maybe in the sort of the coming next couple of months, he is suddenly going to explode onto the scene and he is going to be more of an impact player. So my choice for the player who is going to emerge over the next few weeks, because many of them already have these younger players that they drafted this year, my choice to answer that question is going to be Elijah Arroyo.
Okay, follow-up, and not necessarily about Arroyo. I love the answer about Arroyo, and more than almost anyone when it comes to, what these rookies were like in college and scouting them and all of that. But I'm talking about a player that was already here and one that was here in September because while I'm excited for someone new to take off, I'm curious whether you think Jackson Smith-Njigba is on pace or looks like someone who could have like a top 5 finish league-wide at receiver.
Jackson Smith-Njigba, the way that Puka Nakua's getting the receptions at the minute and the yardage,
crazy.
It might be hard to usurp him. He's at the top. He's the only guy with 500 yards so far. Jackson Smith-Njigba's the only guy with 400 yards. Everybody else is in the 300s. So that goes to show how well you have to play to top Puka Nakua right now. But aside from that, there is not another receiver in this. Like, look at AJ Brown; he's got about 40 yards or something. Like the sort of the big names are not delivering. It's going to be hard for Justin Jefferson to get to the production with the quarterback situation in Minnesota. So Jackson Smith-Njigba is proving that he's a legit number one. He's proving that he's a blue chip player within the NFL. I don't see any reason, health permitting, touch wood, he isn't going to get injured, that this isn't going to continue. And by the end of this season, yes, there is no reason why he is not going to be top 5 for receiving yards. There's more touchdowns to come from him, and the league is going to start giving him some respect. There's an all-pro season in waiting for Jackson Smith-Njigba, and it's great to see because he's been fantastic so far.
Rob, we're 4 weeks now into the season, and we're getting a better read on who these teams are. After the quarter mark, you've got teams that are 0-4, 1-3. Are you seeing any players on the teams that are starting to fall out of it maybe emerge as potential trade candidates for this Seahawks team?
Well, you can't help but watch the Bengals yesterday and just think this is absolutely appalling. Like, this is a team that, yes, they have lost their quarterback, but unless they're prepared, no disrespect to any Husky fans, but unless they're prepared to upgrade from Jake Brown, I don't think they're going anywhere this year. They unless Joe Burrow's suddenly magically going to find some potion that can heal that foot, they are not going to be going anywhere. And they're not just losing, they're getting hammered. So if this continues, I think they've got some tough games coming up if memory serves. If this continues in a couple of weeks' time, you've got to wonder what the situation with Trey Hendrickson's going to be. I think the Niners are probably going to be more aggressive than anybody to try and get Nick Bosa, but could they be a team that the Seahawks look for? And then, there are others as well. I guess people will look. The Dolphins beat the Jets, but they're the Jets. Where are the Dolphins going to be in sort of 2 or 3 weeks' time? Where are the Ravens going to be? Now, Lamar Jackson's out there. Like, Mike Macdonald knows a lot of people in Baltimore. Like, what are they going to be looking at in a couple of weeks? If they don't win their next couple of games, then they're going to be, 1-5? Like, they might start to think about, hey, let's be willing to do some deals there. So I think the Seahawks can be very aggressive, by the way. I think they are going to do something between now and the deadline. Could be quite interesting as well because the opportunity's there. And the more and more I study this 2026 draft class, it's nothing to get excited about. So I think spending a pick, maybe even a decent pick, to get a quality addition is on the cards for the Seahawks.
Could be a very, very interesting October and November here for Seattle. Here's Rob Staton of Seahawks Draft Blog. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Before we get to headline rewrites, reacting to a bit of what Rob said, and I am stuck on his, a couple points that Rob made. One, kind of predicting look, the Seahawks, maybe they're having as good a season as they would have predicted, but I think it's surprising some critics around the country. What if they're very aggressive at the deadline, not just moving on from Woolen, if that's something that happens, but maybe it's acquiring someone to really go for it?
Yeah, I think the start that the Seahawks have gotten off to maybe is convincing people that, hey, the ceiling of the 2025 Seahawks is higher than what we thought it was going to be in July and August, which then puts you more in play for other veteran players that could help you out and make a big impact. It reminds me of 2 years ago when the Seahawks got off to the 5-2 start, and then they go out and trade for Leonard Williams at the trade deadline. Now, the following season, the Seahawks missed the playoffs. and the Leonard Williams trade cost them a second-round pick, and everybody's kind of like, wow, man, wish we had that second-round pick. But now Leonard Williams has turned into one of the better trades that the Seahawks have made, especially considering what he did last year and the start that he's gotten off to this year.
John Schneider just knocking it out of the park, batting 1,000 with midseason trades.
Truly. Like, I can't think of one that has blown up in their face. Quandre Diggs, Carlos Dunlap, Dwayne Brown, Leonard Williams. I mean, all of those trades have really worked out well in the Seahawks' favor, which I think should give people confidence here if the Seahawks continue to get wins, if they beat Tampa Bay, if they go to 4-1, if they're into the bye week at, say, 5-2 or 6-1. Like, yeah, I think you're definitely in position, especially if the division is still within your reach. Yeah, I think a move or two could be made.
He also saw, much like we did, look, the Rams are still right there in the conversation. I know that Dan Graziano is reacting to a statement as opposed to fundamentally making one himself. He's not saying, look out, the Seahawks are the team in the NFC West. He's saying, hey, it is not an overreaction to wonder if they can be. Do you still see it very much? Brady and I talked about it earlier, but it was initially your question. Do you still see it very much as the Rams being kind of an edge over Seattle right now, and then you've got to take it from them?
Yeah, I think if I'm ranking the NFC West teams in terms of just who I think has the best shot at winning the division, I think it goes Rams, probably Seahawks, then 49ers, then Cardinals. The 49ers, I don't feel as confident about them right now. It's just because of all the injuries that Brock Purdy has had to undergo this season. Ricky Pearsall's hurt too. Like, Nick Bosa's out for the year. I have a hard time seeing San Francisco being able to stay afloat with how many impact players they have, on the injured list or on IR. Whereas the Rams, they've gotten 4 healthy weeks out of Matthew Stafford, which I think is better than what a lot of people had anticipated out of the Rams to start this season. But I still think at the very end of the day, the Rams have the most talented roster in the division, and that is going to be a big reason for, I think, their success this year.
Absolutely agree. The defensive line is great. They've got a lot of great pieces. And they're a well-balanced team. I will say this, though, and this is a silly knock to make, right? Puka Nacua, Rob mentioned it, Puka Nacua leading the league in receiving yards with 503. He said not only is he the only player with over 500, but he's one of just 2 players with over 400 receiving yards. That's great. I can't really make a critique about that per se because it's just amazing play from Puka Nacua, and he might be on my fantasy team. But I think it's also worth noting something interesting when it comes to the Rams receiver depth. I'm not saying they can't have guys absolutely take off. And don't forget that I was one of the people questioning whether the Seahawks had good wide receiver depth after week 1. But Puka Nacua has 50 targets, okay? 503 yards. Devontae Adams, unsurprisingly, the number 2 guy there, what we all expected, 35 targets, 269 yards. The next closest wide receiver, 6 targets.
Ooh, is that like 2-2 maybe?
No,
Not
Tutu
even?
has 5 targets, and how many yards does he have? 92 yards.
Wow.
Jordan Whittingham has 1 more target, 5 receptions, 56 yards. There is a massive gap, a Grand Canyon between what Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are doing and what any other receiver on that team is doing. Selfishly, for my fantasy team,
Right.
I hope Puka stays healthy. For the Rams, hope at the NFC West, at the Super Bowl, and they're a great offense. There's a lot riding on Nacua right now.
Oh, there is. But what's interesting is that this is the exact same playbook they rode to winning their Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Sure is, and frankly,
Cooper Kupp led the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Puka Nacua on his way to at least lead in receptions and yards.
Great team.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't the first time that Matthew Stafford's played with a prolific receiver. I believe Calvin Johnson set the single season yardage record with Matthew Stafford as his quarterback. So this is just how it is with Matthew Stafford as his quarterback. He locks in on his one guy and it's like, all right, you're taking us there.
And look, who am I to point fingers? Because JSN gets the lion's share of targets from Sam Darnold. So it's just something to kind of keep an eye on with both teams, maybe most especially the Rams, in terms of who's getting most of those targets right now. It's kind of a top-heavy offense in both cases, but certainly more so, I'd argue, for L.A. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline Rewrite.
We must make headlines.
The story behind the headlines in today's news with Bubba and Stacy.
Headline number one, Tyreek Hill suffered a horrific knee injury in the Dolphins' 27-21 win over the Jets last night. What's the real headline?
List of players who can save Mike McDonald's job, Mike McDaniel's job, has narrowed to Tua. Not two. Yeah. Tua Tagovailoa.
That's it.
Just one.
Good luck.
You think it works? You think Mike McDaniel is not long for that gig?
I don't think he's going to be their head coach to finish the season. I think it's just all kind of falling apart in Miami. And even though they got the win, like Tyreek Hill is the main source of their offense. Mm-hmm. You don't have that now. I mean, Jalen Waddle is a good receiver. He's not to the level of Tyreek Hill. And I think Brady pointed it out too, where like Mike Macdonald's personality may not be the personality you want to have in your corner when things are going wrong, where it's like, he's trying to crack jokes and trying to be irreverent and stuff. And it's they kind of need to be serious here, man. We need to get it together. We need to start stacking some wins. Like, I'm all for having a good time and whatnot, but I don't think you need to be, saying one-liners in your press conference when things are going this poorly. I don't know if he's ever had the personality to be a head coach. His Dolphins teams have had some pretty fun offenses, especially when they put 70 up on the Broncos a couple of years ago, but that feels like forever ago now.
I feel like his issue sounds like the opposite of Urban Meyer or certainly Matt Patricia, where a critique of Matt Patricia with the Lions was like, you've got this Belichick approach of being really, really tough, like this military style approach to football, but you haven't won. So instead you just come off as like being too strict, abrasive, players aren't having fun, whatever. And on the other side of the spectrum, you'll find maybe McDaniel, where it's like, hey, maybe you do need to adopt some old school practices with some of how you're leading the team, because you want to look at someone and know that guy has a plan, that guy knows what to do, that guy has done this before. I agree. I like Mike McDaniel as a personality. I've enjoyed his press conferences. I remember when there was a time when Miami not only had the fastest players, but they were looking like a really cool offense for a minute there, and you were thinking, oh, did they find the next genius play caller here? But I think it's come to an end.
Yeah, they burned bright. They burned quick.
Headline rewrites.
Headline 2. To the other locker room, Aaron Glenn blasted the Jets after their error-filled loss to the Dolphins on Monday night. What's the real headline?
Added Glenn, and we've got to find the guy responsible for coaching this team. Who is it?
I think it's just the stink of the Jets, right? Like, we've talked about Sauce
Gardner.
We've talked about Breece Hall today, what they had to say post-game. Aaron Glenn going off as well.
For that matter, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, a number of former
all
Jets.
Success elsewhere. I think it's just the Jets, and it all starts at the very top, and nothing will change with them until Woody Johnson either sells the team or it goes to somebody else. Like, this is just always you can count on them being 0-4 to start the season.
Yeah.
1-3. And here they are again. And I get that Aaron Glenn was a really talented, sought-after head coach this offseason, but I don't think there's any coach out there that could turn this Jets team around. I really don't. I just think they're destined for mediocrity at best.
Which
every single year.
Is weird because Garrett Wilson, talented. Breece Hall, talented. Maybe not reaching the ceiling of what people thought that they would continue to be, but still talented players. Sauce Gardner, incredibly talented. One of the highest paid defensive backs in the league. Quinnen Williams, like, you've got talent on that team. So you don't have the excuse of, oh, we've won and we can't get high draft picks. Like, there was a period of time where the Bills were still winning, but not like really, really elite winning. Mm-hmm. And there was a little bit of controversy when they were saying, look, when you win a lot, yeah, we've got Josh Allen and we're great. But like, there was one line where it's like, yeah, I wish I could draft Jamar Chase. and it was kind of controversial at the time, but there was a fair argument within that of it's so hard to create a really deeply talented team when you're winning all the time. The Jets are losing, getting these picks where they can get all of this talent. They're finding talent, and then they're not putting it together.
Headline rewrites.
Headline 3, just days after returning to the 49ers lineup, Brock Purdy's back to being listed as questionable for San Francisco's Thursday night game against the Rams. What's the real headline?
Who would have thought Matthew Stafford and his epidural would outlast 25-year-old Brock Purdy to start the year?
Yeah, Brock not looking so spry.
Yeah. Not on my bingo card of this season was the youngest quarterback in the NFC West dealing with the most time out.
Brock Purdy, it's weird. We talked about this. The 49ers undefeated this year without him, 1-1 with him. I think they're a better team with him in their lineup, but if he's not going to be at 100%, this feels like one of those injuries that's going to linger for a while. I mean, 49ers are in just this weird spot of it feels like they're at the end of their run right now, but they're still trying to scrape by. They're still trying to get the last bit of water out of the towel.
Yeah.
And I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to keep pace in the NFC West so long as Brock Purdy is out. And I don't see him playing on Thursday night. I really don't, especially him being questionable on a Tuesday, having dealt with an injury that they were kind of unsure whether or not they should be bringing him back as soon as they did. I don't see it from the 49ers right now.
All right, we've been pretty NFL and Seahawks heavy to start the show, which was really great because we had on ESPN Seahawks insider Brady Henderson, got some really interesting, fun insight there. But we're going to switch gears. And we're going to lean into baseball for the last hour and a half here, fitting given that we're watching this wild card game right now between the Tigers and Guardians. So coming up at 12:45, Curtis, I'm going to ask you to paint a picture of who could be a more favorable matchup for the Mariners in the ALDS, which begins Saturday, between the two teams we're watching playing right now. Detroit up 2-1 in that series, bottom of the 8th. They might be heading into the 9th. Coming up next, though, before we get to that, taking a look around the timeline.
Mariners looking to wrap it up. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. The Seattle Mariners are champions in the American League West.
The champagne is flowing now.
We're not done yet, but tonight we celebrate. Let's go!
Your home for baseball's postseason and your American League West champion Mariners.
Keep competing, and we'll keep going!
Seattle Sports on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
The journey just continues.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
This March, Wendy's is fueling the madness with amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it. Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
The home of the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
Touchdown! Seahawks! Ken Walker III!
Get everything Seahawks at seattlesports.com.
Big Trees is Washington's premier tree sales and transplant company. With over 30 years of experience, Big Trees provides trees of all sizes for residential and commercial projects. Our 30-acre nursery features thousands of trees and hundreds of varieties that thrive in our Pacific Northwest climate. For hours, directions, and to see our wide selection of trees, visit BigTreeSupply.com.
Tired of unwanted clutter taking over your space? Well, say goodbye to it all with Happy Hauler, Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal service. Tune into Cairo News Radio, 97.3 FM or KTTH AM 770 for Home Matters, featuring Happy Hauler this Saturday at 2 p.m. Discover how Happy Hauler can help you declutter and reclaim your home, all while donating as much as possible to those in need. So make yourself, your family, and your community happy. Go to happyhauler.com. Hauling with a heart.
Are you frustrated with those trendy weight loss shots and not getting the long-term results you really want? This is Dr. Ryan Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss, and whether you've hit a plateau, can't handle the side effects, or watch the pounds creep back after stopping, there's a better way. Our program has helped over 4,000 people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in just 8 weeks without expensive injections or uncomfortable side effects. Our doctor-developed program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast. Ready for real lasting results? Visit eastsideweightlossclinic.com now to schedule your free consultation.
Did he just say Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is half the cost and works twice as fast as weight loss injections? Well, if that's not reason enough, you don't risk the scary side effects or gaining the weight back as soon as you stop. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is natural, and it works.
Many clients lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two, and you can do our program remotely from anywhere you live. Schedule your free consultation at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. That's eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
Kawhi Leonard responds to Pablo Torre's story for the first time, and Nafisa Collier goes scorched earth on WNBA leadership. Let's get to it with The Timeline. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. On Monday, we heard from Kawhi Leonard for the very first time since Pablo Torre's story into the Clippers broke last month. Before I get to this, Curtis, could you give like a 30-second summary on Pablo Torre's story just for people that either heard about it and forgot about it because there's been a little bit of a break here or had never heard about it?
Pablo Torre, investigative reporter, had found that the Clippers were paying Kawhi Leonard through a third party. Aspiration was the name of this company. It was $28 million that was supposed to be designated for Kawhi Leonard. The company goes bankrupt.
For appearance fees.
Yeah, for appearance fees. Appearance in heavy quotes.
Because he never appeared anywhere.
Yeah, it was a no-show contract. And this was done with the goal of circumventing the NBA salary cap, which is a big no-no. It's like the only rule in the NBA that you must follow. Everything else is kind of like, if we didn't see it, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But Pablo Torre found this out and reported on it and has tons and tons of sourcing on
Mountain of evidence.
And it's all kind of pointing to the Clippers being in very big trouble. So that's my synopsis of it.
Very useful. Thank you. A great one.
Yeah,
First, Kawhi told reporters he welcomes the investigation.
Do you have any reaction or statement regarding some of the things that have been alleged over the last month?
No. I mean, the NBA is going to do their job. None of us did no wrongdoing. I mean, that's it. we invite the investigation. It's not going to be a distraction for me or the rest of the team.
Now, he's open about inviting the investigation, doesn't seem worried about that. But then later, when pressed about his role with Aspiration, again, that company that Pablo's kind of accusing of being just like a funnel for money from the Clippers, he didn't answer with any specifics.
What is your understanding of the endorsement deal that you had with the company that's being talked to Aspiration, and did you perform any services for them?
When you say understanding, what do you mean?
Like of the contract you signed and how much money you were to receive, what you were supposed to perform for those services?
I understand that full contract and the services that I had to do. Like I said, I don't deal with the conspiracies or the clickbait analysts or journalism that's going on. So that's what it is.
Well, I think the allegation was that you didn't perform any services for them. Is that accurate, or did you do things for them?
I don't think it's accurate, but it's old. This is all new to you guys. The company went bankrupt a while ago, so we already knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, but Kawhi, the point is that none of us knew anything. So maybe it's not new to you, but that doesn't mean that it's like, oh, that company went bankrupt forever ago. Anyways, let's move on. Well, hang on a minute. The Clippers are being accused of funneling money to you to circumvent the salary cap. They would be in big trouble with that with the NBA. It looks very much like they're guilty of doing that. I get not wanting to answer these questions, but that's not really clickbait journalism.
But also, Kawhi, like, you're just being asked, hey, was this a no-show contract that you signed, or is there actual evidence that you did stuff for Aspiration?
Mm-hmm.
And if he wants some of these whispers to go away, provide evidence that you did stuff for them.
Yeah.
But he has yet to do that. The Clippers have yet to do that. No one involved with the Clippers has provided any sort of evidence that Kawhi Leonard was doing things for Aspiration. No, he was just receiving money from them for nothing.
Yeah.
Like that's what we can deduct from all of these quotes that we've heard from Kawhi Leonard and also Steve Ballmer when he was on with Ramona Shelburne on ESPN a couple of weeks ago. Like, just provide us with one example, just a single example, and maybe this will quiet it down. But no, it's just getting louder and louder.
Do you think the league will actually do anything, though?
They better. They have to.
What if they don't? Like,
They
Kawhi's a
need
massive
to.
star. It looks bad for the league. It makes look, what if other teams are doing versions of this?
I think you
like remember
have
when the
to-
Astros cheating scandal
Right.
happened and people were like, well, maybe MLB didn't come crashing down on them as strictly because other teams are doing stuff.
Well, and
like
they didn't
this.
come down as hard on the Astros as they would have
And they'd already
elsewhere
won.
because they gave them immunity, too. If you had spoken to Major League Baseball, you weren't going to get in trouble. That's why Bregman, Altuve, all those guys didn't get suspended, even though they were the ones benefiting from it, whereas like AJ Hinch got suspended for a year. Jeffrey Luhnow, he got his walking papers as well. I don't know if the NBA is going to offer anything similar to that with the Clippers, but you have to make an example. And look, the Clippers, yes, they're in a big market, but they're not a popular team. Like, they are not a
it's not
team
LeBron.
that, right. I would equate the LA Clippers to the LA Chargers, where like you're the second team in your town. They just got their own arena, but like it doesn't sell out. Like, they're not popular. They don't get talked about on sports talk radio in LA. They don't get talked about on TV outside of stuff like this. So yeah, I think the Clippers could be an easy target for Adam Silver to make an example of.
All right, next story here. We're heading to the WNBA. WNBA's Minnesota Lynx held their exit interviews today, and their star, Nafisa Collier, went scorched earth on the WNBA leadership and commissioner. Now, this was initially, just so everyone knows, it's a 4-minute speech, so we're just playing one segment of it, but we'll kind of summarize some more of what she said.
At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them.
those are some damning quotes. Kathy, she mentioned, is obviously WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbrecht. The one about Caitlin should be, and you could say this about Caitlin
Paige
Clark.
Beckers and Angel Reese.
You could say this about all three of them, but Caitlin should be grateful she has the WNBA to help her get $16 million in endorsements off the court. She'd be nothing without Kathy.
I think it's the other way around.
Kathy.
I really think it's the WNBA benefiting from those three.
Cassandra.
I really think it's the WNBA that's the bigger beneficiary of the presences of Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, and Angel Reese. And like, say what you will about those players individually and like their skill sets, whatever, but just their popularity among the league. I can't remember a time in the WNBA's history where you can refer to players just simply on their first name basis, and we all kind of know who they're talking about. Like that's
if you say Angel, I know who you're talking about. If you say Caitlin, I know who you're talking about.
Exactly. Like, these three are the faces of the league right now and are the reason why you're selling out arenas nationwide and the reason why you were able to get that brand new TV deal that was just exponentially bigger than what the WNBA had ever gone for previously. You to say that they should be thankful for their platform that the WNBA gives them and like the $75,000 they get for playing in the WNBA, that's insane.
Well, and just as important, I think we all learn this about good leadership anywhere. I think it's especially important where leadership and the people that they're in charge of are like very public figures. Leadership sometimes looks like saying an answer someone doesn't want to hear in a way that is without blame, in a way that is positive and healthy. So saying something like, hey, I know that our bright young stars need to get paid more. I'm doing everything I can, but it's tough. Like we're in a tough spot in terms of financials. Here's what I'm working on. In fact, we're having a conference about how we do this. You're welcome to come. That's an answer where you're not telling her, you're right, I'll do this immediately. But you're saying, this is something I'm aware of.
Yeah.
You make a good point. It's something I'm working on. Now, you can stay mad at me, but like this is an answer that a leader gives. A bad answer from a leader is, you should be so lucky. And then being like incorrect about it. Like that's not what, you know what I mean? Inherent to leadership isn't always giving people exactly what they want. It's being respectful. So it's just a bad look from the WNBA.
Yeah, I just do not see labor peace coming. I believe their CBA expires after this season. So once the WNBA finals conclude, then the CBA expires. And I'd be hard pressed to see, I wouldn't be. I just think it's all kind of coming to a point where there's going to be some sort of work stoppage because we've seen it. What was it at the All-Star game? The players are wearing shirts like "Pay us what you owe us," and it's all going to get messy.
The Tigers are up 2-1 on the Guardians. We are in the bottom of the ninth. Guardians have one on, third, one out, which is fitting. A perfect moment to be watching this live unfold because coming up next, Curtis, I'm going to ask you, which is the more favorable matchup for the Mariners in terms of a winner for this series, the Guardians or the Tigers? That's next.
Wyman and Bob, every afternoon at 2.
It's an interesting game, Dave, in Arizona, as it always is. It looked really one-sided. It looked like they were going to blow the doors off this Cardinals team. I mean, it was a tale of 3 quarters and 1 quarter.
Honestly, before the game, I was like, this could be a blowout. And it was headed that way, but then they just kind of let them back in. So, yeah, there were some things to not like there, but on the road against an NFC West opponent, I thought it was a good, solid win.
Only on Seattle Sports and Seattle Sports on YouTube.
Hey man, gaining weight, dragging throughout the day, losing your drive, it could be your testosterone. The team at Revive Men's Health Washington gets men back on track with the energy and drive they've been missing. Meet Tyler, Revive Men's Health Director of Operations and witness to hundreds of success stories.
I've seen guys come in worn out, discouraged, and just not themselves. A few months into treatment, they're standing taller, speaking with more confidence. It's like watching someone come back to life, like a light switch gets turned back on. The spouse says, thank you, I really have my partner back, better than before. That's the moment it all clicks for me, and that's why I do what I do.
Since 2011, Revive Men's Health has helped more than 120,000 men regain their energy and drive. Start your story today with an in-clinic visit or a secure video appointment. Call 206-529-1111 now to book your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation. That's 206-529-1111. Or schedule anytime at revivemenshealth.com.
Coach Saban here. On the field or on your walls, coverage matters. That's why I go with Behr Marquee Interior Paint and Primer from the Home Depot.
Exceptional hide, advanced stain blocking, and over 1,000 colors to choose from. Behr Marquee delivers one-coat coverage that stands up to real life. One-coat coverage, no overtime. Behr Marquee, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Valid only when tinted to colors from the Behr Marquee Interior One-Coat Hide Collection.
Huge savings on Dell AI PCs with Intel Core Ultra processors are here, and they're newly designed to help you do more faster. They can generate code, edit images, multitask without lag, draft emails, summarize documents, create live translations, and even extend your battery life. That's the power of Dell AI with Intel inside. Upgrade today by visiting Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Tired of uneven heating, noisy systems, and high energy bills? The Quilt Ductless Heat Pump from Home Comfort Alliance gives you room-by-room control and serious savings with every system, and every system qualifies for max tax credits. Call the Comfort People at HomeComfortAlliance.com.
The ballpark is rocking like 2001. Let us clear up your allergies so you can enjoy more of each game. Hey, it's Dr. Ryan Stern of the Stern Sinus Center. Let us fix your ear, nose, and throat problems. Let's make your congestion, sinusitis, snoring, and allergies a non-issue. We can diagnose and treat everything from allergy testing and treatments to modern nasal breathing procedures to advanced balloon sinuplasty. Come and see us in Federal Way in Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
If you use the carpool or toll lanes along SR 167 without a Good-to-Go account, you'll soon receive a bill in the mail. That is a change. A Good-to-Go pass saves $2 on every toll. That is not a change. Learn more at goodtogo167.com.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
The home of your American League West champion Mariners, Seattle Sports.
From the roof to the deck, the siding to the gutters, and energy-efficient windows, State Roofing and Exteriors is your one-stop shop for home protection. With over 55 years serving Western Washington, we don't just work here, we live here. We know what your home is up against when the cold sets in and the rain starts falling. Right now, we're making it easier than ever to get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 24 months. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free, no-pressure estimate.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need. Open enrollment for Medicare happens every year, but for a lot of people, it's still confusing. Hi, this is Herb Weisbaum, the Consumer Man. Don't worry, help is on the way with a Medicare Jumpstart Toolkit brought to you by the Insurance Commissioner's Sheba program. Find out what's changing and learn about your options for Medicare with 7 easy steps to get ready for open enrollment. Order your free copy of the Medicare Jumpstart Toolkit at insurance.wa.gov or pick up a copy at your local library or senior center.
When it comes to the security of your business, doubts can creep in about who you're trusting to protect it. Are they a reliable service? How will I know if something happens? Are they keeping everyone safe? At Bay Alarm, we got you. For nearly 80 years, we've been putting our customers' minds at ease with our advanced technology and personalized support. Feeling insecure about your current security service? Visit bayalarm.com today to talk to a local security expert.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Well, the Tigers won, but let's continue to have this conversation. The Guardians and Tigers facing off. Game 1 of that American League wild card is done with the Tigers winning 2-1. Obviously, still games to play here for both of those teams. Assuming the Tigers win tomorrow, it's done. Guardians a chance to respond here. But, Curtis, which team is a more favorable matchup for the Seattle Mariners, who would begin that series against the winner on Saturday?
I personally think it would be Cleveland, and I think we saw the reason why today is that their offense can go ice cold for extended periods of time.
And for context, you had a runner on third, no outs in the bottom of the ninth.
Exactly, and that runner would have tied the game at 2, would have forced extra innings, and it did not happen. The Jose Ramirez is on third. He breaks for home on a contact play, gets in a rundown. He gets tagged out. That was the second out of the inning, and then the runner on first gets stranded. Also, the reason why I don't want to see the Tigers is the exact reason why they won today. Did you see the pitching line for one Derek Skubal?
Yeah, 14 strikeouts. By the way, a postseason record. Ties a postseason record set in 1972 for the Tigers.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all here in Seattle for either Game 1 or Game 2 of the ALDS. Because, let's see here. If Skubal were to pitch, he'd probably get the start in Game 2, is my guess, because he'd be pitching on 3 days rest come Saturday.
You mean if they, let's say Tigers win tomorrow, so that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay.
The series starts on Saturday no matter what. Okay. So he'd be off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think they would pitch him on Sunday on full rest because you still have the opportunity, if you're Detroit, to steal home field advantage if you take one of the first 2 games of the series. So it could be 1-1 heading back to Detroit, let's say, if Tarek Skubal gets the win in Game 2. I get that the Mariners beat Skubal twice in the regular season, but April and July, they are so far in the rearview mirror from where we are right now. And did you not see Skubal strike out 14 players today? I get that Cleveland's offense is bad, but 14 against any team is a ridiculous number. And he's the best pitcher in baseball, probably going to win another Cy Young Award this year. I don't want to see that guy.
Hear me out.
In Seattle.
The Mariners didn't have Geno Suarez or Josh Naylor, the latter of whom has been vitally important to this run, when they last faced Tarek Skubal.
Sure, but again, that he's good against anybody.
I know.
He's good against any lineup, and I don't want to see that. And maybe I'm in the minority here, but it just feels like I don't want to see any world in which Tarek Skubal is taking the mound.
Okay, so you're going for the Guardians here. Let me continue to add on to this question. What do you make then of any advantage Seattle might have facing a team that gave up a 15.5 game lead in their own division? At one point, the Tigers had the best record in the American League. I don't even want to say at one point. For the bulk of the season, the first half of the season, the Tigers had the best record in the American League. And then they completely blew it. And by they completely blew it, I mean, if the Mets didn't have the collapse they did, we would all be talking about the Tigers having the worst collapse this season.
Right.
So is there something to take from that? Do you completely say it's a wash? You're facing a team with 6 All-Stars, so you can't look at it that way?
It kind of becomes a wash because everybody resets it at 0. Like, what you did in the regular season now doesn't matter for any of these teams except for seeding and who has home field advantage in each of these series. Like, I don't think the Tigers went into today's game thinking, oh, man, we really struggled in September. That's going to carry over. No, they were like, okay, this is a brand new opportunity for us. This is a way for us to rid ourselves of what happened in September and get out on the right foot. And that's exactly what they did today. And they had the guy on on the mound like today that was just so much better than everybody else. Jason Churchill was on with us yesterday, and he said that despite the Tigers having Tarek Skubal, he would rather face them than Cleveland.
So I look at the pitching, and then Cleveland has a decided advantage in that series, despite the fact that the end of their bullpen, lost a key guy in Clase. I think if I'm Seattle, I'd rather play Detroit. I'd rather face Skubal that once or twice, and then face Flaherty and Casey Mize and that somewhat shallow bullpen, and an offense that's been middling for, a good 2-3 months. I think I'd rather Detroit, but I think Seattle beats either one of them.
I do have confidence in the Mariners beating both Detroit and Cleveland. My worry, though, is that in a 5-game series, there's less room for error than there is in a 7-game series. And any one game lost by your team, especially at home, like that can really flip the momentum of a series to the other team. And I just don't want to see Skubal in any sort of situation where the Mariners are sort of backs against the wall. Jacob in Bellevue points out last year Skubal pitched game 1 of the wild card series against Houston and then games 2 and 5 in the division series. So there's a possibility if it all kind of charts the way it did last year for this Tigers team, you could not only be seeing Skubal once in the series, but potentially twice.
They were using him late into the season, though, because they still had to clinch not just their division, which they didn't, but a playoff spot. So it's not like the Mariners where they were able to, hey, Bryce, go out and pitch 2 innings. Hey, Logan, pitch, 3, 4, 5 innings, and then let's take it easy. So I don't know how much usage is going to play a part. There were a number of teams that continued to be as competitive as they possibly could in games 160 through 162. But I don't know. I guess Tarik Skubal is far and away the scariest part of that team, but that doesn't mean there aren't other scary pieces. They were playing like sub 300 baseball in September, but they have more pop in theory than Cleveland's lineup. Cleveland's lineup, I look at that and I go, well, they have Jose Ramirez, who's been playing out of his mind, who if Cal and Aaron Judge weren't competing for AL MVP, he'd certainly be the front runner there. The offense outside of him struggles. And I know I'm including Stephen Kwan with that, but he doesn't, a great hitter, doesn't have pop. So like I naturally turn more to the offense against what's been my big question for the Mariners this year, which is their pitching, and like the matchup for Cleveland's offense against Seattle's pitchers.
I think Seattle's pitchers can shut down Cleveland's offense. I think the Guardians, what they are able to do best is their pitching as well, and especially their starting pitching. That doesn't necessarily scare me as much as anything that involves Tarik Skubal in a playoff series scenario. Like, Gavin Williams is a good pitcher. He's the ace of Cleveland's staff. He is not to the level of Skubal. And, like, there are very few people in baseball right now that can tilt a series one way or another. And I think Skubal's one of those guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, well, the Tigers take a 1-0 lead in this wild card series. Again, playing again tomorrow. Coming up next, Mariners insider Shannon Drayer is going to join us. We got a lot of questions about how the Mariners are handling this break before they head into ALDS against one of these two teams beginning on Saturday. That's next.
It's been 24 years since
the 2001 Western Division champions.
Mariners Nation, you've earned this banner.
There's no better feeling than this. We work so hard each day.
With a first-round bye in the bag, what's ahead for the AL West champion Mariners in the postseason?
It's a lot of great things ahead. I can feel it.
SeattleSports.com has the latest on the scenarios.
We're not done yet. We got a World Series to go get.
This is where you hear your AL West champion Mariners in the playoffs. Seattle Sports.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in a parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box, or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hey, Brock Heward here for my friends at PCF Construction. You know, it was a couple years ago. We were seeking a complete outdoor living space. Molly wanted a new deck. She wanted to really make our outdoor space pop. And boy, am I glad we called PCF. Why? Because whether it's a very specific project or outdoor living, like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you completely covered. You know, Molly's an interior designer. She knows construction. She knows attention to detail. And PCF, they checked every single box along the way. And right now is the time to make the call. Up to $6,000 off your project, plus no payments and no interest until 2027. And you can save an extra $1,500 when you bundle your deck with a patio cover. Find all the offer details, get project ideas, and browse photos at pcfgroup.com or simply call today at 425-629-8476. That's 425-629-8476, PCFgroup.com.
At 65 years old, Brian has a rather demanding hobby.
My biggest passion is snow skiing, and I ski between 70 and 80 days per year. And I ski instruct at a private resort in Montana.
Needless to say, that can be a bit tough on the joints.
When this knee started to bother me, I thought I'm doomed.
That's when Brian decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
If I did yard work or skied a few days in a row, I was fighting swelling and pain and no sleep and all sorts of problems, and that has absolutely gone away.
So are you back on the slopes?
I mean, I had a 14-day stretch with clients where I skied every day and I had no problem. It was fine. It was just like, I felt like new.
So I'm guessing you would recommend this to others.
Oh, I already have. I've told everyone that'll listen.
Whether it's a shoulder, hip, or knee, before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
It's really, truly a miracle.
Underestimating the trucking industry is one of the biggest mistakes I see victims and other lawyers make. Trucking companies have an army of lawyers and experts who act quickly after an accident to protect the company. Only an experienced trucking accident lawyer can navigate the complicated federal and state laws to protect your rights. If you or a loved one has been injured in a trucking accident, call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at washingtonaccidentbooks.com.
If you use carpool or toll lanes along SR 167, some things are about to change, and some things aren't. If you ride without a Good to Go account, you'll receive a bill in the mail. That is a change. Having Good to Go means it'll cost less than pay by mail. Not a change. Carpoolers will need a Flex Pass set to HOV mode to ride free. That's a change. A Good to Go pass saves you $2 on every toll. No change. Learn more at goodtogo167.com. Free Flex Passes while supplies last.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
All right, Tigers take game one over the Guardians in that wild card series. How about Tarek Skubal? 14 strikeouts for him against this Guardians lineup. Most in a start by Skubal, tied for most in Tigers postseason history and the most in any postseason game for any team since 2018. The first of two NL wild card series on right now. Padres up 1-0 over the Cubs. 2 on, 1 out, top of the fourth.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
from the Quantum Fiber Studio
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus, and joining us right now, Mariners insider Shannon Drayer on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Well, we have one wild card game done today. The Tigers beat the Guardians 2-1. Shannon, Mariners are going to face the winner of this series. Is there a team that you think favors Seattle a little bit more, or is it kind of like, hey, they're going to be able to face whoever and put up a good fight?
Yeah, I think you look at both teams, and they both have their strengths and their weaknesses. And I do think that, facing Tarek Skubal is daunting, and the possibility of doing it twice is pretty tough. And I think the Guardians, what they had going for them was the momentum that they had, and we just saw that kind of get kicked to the curb because everybody's back at 0-0. It really doesn't matter what you did up to that point, although I think their bullpen would be more of a challenge for the Mariners, and they're an athletic team, and that has given them problems sometimes. So I do think it is pick your poison, or one's not that much better than the other in regards to matchups. They just match up differently. So I think what we all want to see, and we've talked about this quite a bit, is we'd like to see those two teams beat each other up. We would like to not give them any extra rest coming in. We'd like to see their bullpens already stretched a little bit. And so along those lines, I think you would really like to see the Guardians win tomorrow.
Shannon, we've all kind of assumed that Brian Wu, at least in the month or so leading up to the postseason, we all kind of assumed Brian Wu would be your ace in the playoffs, but obviously his injury has kind of thrown a wrench into all those plans. How do you see the Mariners shaping up their rotation, or is it still just kind of wait and see until we get a winner of this Cleveland-Detroit series?
Well, the matchups will certainly play into it, and I don't know that I was 100% Brian Wu number one regardless, simply because he doesn't have the postseason experience that some others do have. So along those lines, it's been a little bit more of a question mark for me. And I think when you look at it, you could even go so far if you're setting up. You could go 3-man, you could go 4-man if you wanted to. So the matchup certainly will play into it. I think home and away will certainly play into it. I think experience will play into it. And I think probably most importantly, what you have seen in the last 3-4 weeks from this group will play heavily into it. So I do think that there is potential. I know that there have been a lot of folks who, immediately point to Brian Wu, and obviously Brian Wu's availability is the biggest thing that will play into it, but immediately are just going, oh yeah, Wu, Logan, and Kirby. But Luis Castillo, if you look over the last month has been the most consistent in the month of September. And I would almost be surprised if we don't see him in the first round. And his numbers have been very, very good. And that he is one guy that can go out there that you don't really worry about anything as far as experience goes. He's been in that position. He's not somebody that gets rattled out there. And at home, he has been especially good. I don't know if that means you put him in game 1 or 2, or if you hold him for 5, which would come back to Seattle. But I think that he has been overlooked by a lot of folks in this mix. So I'm really interested to see what happens there. George Kirby has been on fire for the month of September as well, and he has the big game experience. You think back to 22, came out of the bullpen, also started that 18-inning monster that was played the one game in Seattle and was stellar in that. So I think very encouraging what you have seen from him, and also knowing where his mentality is right now, and just feeling really good about where he's at. He would be way up there as well. And then how they handle Wu is going to be very, very interesting. And, it's add to it the experience, plus anytime anybody is coming off any kind of injury, there is going to be a little bit of question in their head, and a point where they'll put that out of their head in a game. Can you afford that in a game 1? And even if it's, 1, 2, 3 batters, if it's just an inning, if it's 2 innings, I think that is going to be really a tough call in how you line them up.
The Mariners are going to have 2 postseason scrimmages. That's tomorrow at 2 and then Thursday at 5 to help them prepare for Saturday, just to avoid some of that rust. Can you walk us through kind of what these might look like, what they're hoping to accomplish, the level of intensity they're looking for here?
Sure. I mean, obviously it has been a thing ever since the wild card and taking it to a series rather than just a game has been put into place. There has been an element of rust with some of the teams, not all, but some of the teams coming out of the long bye. That's not baseball. That is not normal in baseball. You never shut it down for 5-6 days during a season unless you're injured. So there's got to be a way to keep them going individually and as a team. And so they are doing what some other teams have done in the past. The Braves have done it, and I'm sure a big part of this has come from Kevin Seitzer and Bobby Magallanes because they've done it and they've seen it work. And also all sorts of consultation going on all over the place. And how do we do this? You, A, want to keep them healthy, but B, you want to keep them sharp. So 6 innings, and they are going to, I think the most interesting thing, and we've seen and suspected it, and it was all confirmed about an hour ago, but the schedule will be identical to what they will do on a game day in the postseason. They will have, the manager interview session. They will have the player that they take to the podium. Their batting practices will be the same. The clubhouse will be open, the same availabilities that it would be for the postseason. So they are making everything as identical to what those days will look like. It's not you can come in 2 hours late, get ready in an hour, and just go play a scrimmage. It's going to be like a postseason game day. And they'll be playing and matching up against taxi squad members. And I would imagine they'll do, I don't know what the breakdown of the teams will be. We'll have to wait and see that. But they have enough players to do it because they have brought the taxi squad roster, which had been down in Arizona, staying ready up to Seattle. And I believe they're putting them in the opposing clubhouse. So even that will look the same. Their clubhouse will not be overcrowded. Their dugout will not be overcrowded. They're just trying to make it as real a game-like situation as they had. And, of course, as everybody knows, to that end, they'd like the fans there as well. I believe they'll do everything with the big board and the PA announcing and whatnot along those lines, too. So they're just trying to replicate what is going to be coming this weekend.
Yeah, if anyone's looking to get out there, $10 to attend this one, which is an easy ticket.
Yeah, and it's 2 o'clock tomorrow is when it starts. Shannon, you mentioned just kind of replicating a real game scenario. Do you expect to see any of the starting pitchers that are in the Mariners rotation to get action in these next couple of days, or do you think it's going to be strictly the guys that are on the taxi squad and maybe just a few relievers here or there?
I would imagine if Brian Wu is ready to go, they'll want him to face hitters. So I would think that he would be the only one. I think the others, for pitchers, starting pitchers in particular, it's a little bit more of they can handle a 5-day off, an extra, it's like a skip start basically for them. So I would anticipate that most would stay on their regular work, especially not knowing quite yet exactly what the rotation is going to be. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Wu face some hitters in this situation. They could also do it in the sim game earlier or later, but I'm not sure that would be necessary if you've got everything in front of you the way it is. And I think they want him to get as game feeling as he possibly can get. It's impossible to get the same adrenaline that you would in the situation of a playoff game, and his first playoff game for that matter, but I think they'll have an opportunity to at least get something a little elevated than what you normally would in the course of a regular season.
Will they win? Will Brian Wu pitch? Can Cal get more home runs? Are kind of questions that we're all going to be wondering when this game starts on Saturday. Is there another question that you have when it comes to the Mariners that's going to be top of mind for you when this series starts?
Well, the biggest is going to be, do they pick up where they left off? I'm not going to say on Sunday. I'll say probably on Thursday. Sunday, you could tell the gas had been taken, the pedal had been taken off the pedal a little bit in that Dodgers series. As they were in full protect mode, no question about that. So that, to me, is one of the biggest things. And then also, I think it's going to be important how clean a game that they can play out there. And they have, for the most part, been a lot cleaner in the month of September than they have at other parts of the season. But it's going to be a different game, and I've been trying to prepare people for it because they have been so led by the offense this year. It's so offensive heavy, and it's been so good that you have to realize that you cannot depend on the same number. There could be games where they score 6 runs, but it's far likelier that you're looking at games where it's going to be 3 or fewer simply because bullpens are shrunk. You're not going to be facing the worst of the bullpen. Rotations are shrunk. You are going to be facing more of the 1s, 2s, and threes. So it's tough. Bullpens will be used differently. And so along those lines, what I would like to see is I would like to see them have the ability to go out there. And we love the home run. I hope that's there. That'll be great for them if it's there, but can they manufacture a little bit more?
Shannon, friend of the station, Luke Arkins, compiled the guys on the Mariners roster that finished September with postseason experience. And of the 28 guys on that roster, 17 had played in postseason games in their career, which feels like a lot, especially with this Mariners organization. How valuable will that previous postseason experience be for a lot of these guys once Saturday comes around?
Absolutely huge. I've been pointing it out. I think it was last Saturday when I looked down at the lineup, and I suspected, and I looked it up, and then, yep, the starting 9 in the lineup, everyone had postseason experience. Wow. And that is something that is completely different from where they have been the last few years. You think 3 years ago, in particular, Jerry DiPoto and Justin Hollander were out looking for anybody with any playoff experience. Sometimes it didn't even feel like it mattered who it was, but we need somebody with some experience for these guys. Now they've got it, and a lot of them, it's homegrown. They had it themselves in 22, and so it's I think very important along those lines, and who it is I think is very important as well. Andres Munoz, Matt Brash, your entire pitching rotation except for Wu, and then again they were able to put an entire lineup out there that has that. So I don't think, and then you've got the heartbeat of Josh Naylor too. So I think that is something that will help in that situation. It's a great mix, and I don't want to say it's bonus that they have that much. I think it might absolutely be, a big positive, a big edge for them that they do have that.
What's your overall confidence level in the team? You know them so well, inside and out. What's your confidence level knowing exactly now what the postseason picture looks like, that they can get this to a World Series?
I think that they've learned a lot in the last few years, and I think that has been a big motivating factor. I think that they have taken care of what they needed to take care of during the regular season, most notably just all getting on the same page and pulling in the same direction after that team meeting down in Tampa. I think that was brought a renewed focus to them as a team and as individuals, and some reminders about, it's really not fun to come up short. And they took care of that in the regular season. And now I think that they don't want to come up short in what they do in the postseason. But I think the biggest thing with the offense in particular is there's so much trust in those around them. And I think that if they can keep their heads about them, and not get too carried away by the moment and the adrenaline and whatnot, that's going to help do exactly what I just said, and that I hope that they can manufacture a little bit. And in talking to a number of different guys, they really pointed to not having to do everything on my own or feeling like I had to do everything on my own. And if you think about that, when you are in that state of mind, often that is because you don't trust those around you. And I think that the fact that they look up and down that lineup right now, and they do trust guys to do the right thing. And I think that you look at everybody, and I would say with the exception of Randy Arozarena, who is a special case, they finished the season in a pretty good spot. I think Cal, a rough 3 days there, but I think he was pressing. I think he was, he really wanted that record. He really wanted 61, 62. That goes out the window. That doesn't matter anymore. These home runs aren't going to matter, and I think for him, that really lightens things up, so that'll be good. And as far as Randy goes, he was on a massive struggle the last 2 weeks of September, but his playoff history is one of the best you will ever see for an offensive player. So it's Randy time, and he knows it, and I hope that a little bit of that magic is there, and he is able to flip the switch and become who he is, and that gives him that extra that he needs. But I do think they're in a good place right now, offensively in particular, and I think that's going to help a lot.
She is Mariners insider Shannon Drayer, and her coverage will be incredibly important when it comes to this team's ALDS visit this weekend. Shannon, thanks so much.
Thanks, Shannon.
You got it, guys.
All right. We had Brady Henderson on with us for the first 2 hours of the show, and we really loved 4 Down Territory with him. He's got some really fun stuff to say about the upcoming game against the Bucs, so let's get to it.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, Brady Henderson in for Michael Bumpus. The Buccaneers have played 4 straight games decided by 1 possession. Does that streak continue on Sunday against the Seahawks?
Ooh, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that the Seahawks win this game by more than 1 possession. And that's no small prediction when you talk about how close NFL games tend to be. The spread on this game is, I think the Seahawks are favored by 3.5 points. But the reason I say that why I'm predicting more than a 1-score victory for the Seahawks is they're in a really good spot when you consider that they are, not that they're the most healthy team in the NFL, but they are coming off a mini bye. They are getting healthier. And if you look at Tampa Bay, injuries are piling up at a crazy rate for them. Mm-hmm. And, they don't have the benefit of coming off, an extra few days of rest. And so that's a team that has, for whatever reason, started slow a bunch of times this season. They're really banged up, and the Seahawks, I think, are kind of going in the opposite direction injury-wise.
Second down. All right, if the first month of the Seahawks season was all about the connection between Sam Darnold and JSN, is there another Seahawks player, either on offense or defense, that has a chance to make some noise of his own?
I think Elijah Arroyo is going to start to come on here. And, he had that great one of Sam Darnold's best throws in that game Thursday was one that was not completed, but it was one where he rolls out, throws kind of off his back foot, and throws an absolute dime to Arroyo, who would have had a touchdown catch probably if the guy doesn't interfere with him. So Arroyo, I've said this before, and I will say it again, that over the offseason, he was consistently the most impressive rookie among all of the rookie skill guys, or really among all of the rookie class. And, he's obviously, you're only going to get so many targets when you're the number 2 tight end and probably the number, 4 or 5 overall target in a run-heavy offense. But I think he's got a chance to make some plays for them, and you've already seen a little bit of that.
Do you think Clint Kubiak's offense has a chance to make more usage of tight ends in general than maybe previous iterations of the Seahawks had? Because they've had some big names like Jimmy Graham or popular local guys like Will Dissly. They've just never quite been able to get the most out of that group.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Graham's still the all-time leading tight end in Seahawks history, for whatever that's worth. But I think
over 3 seasons, including one where he missed half of it.
Yeah, it goes to show they haven't had a lot of productive tight ends in their history. Brian Nemhauser, Hawk Blogger, made a good point yesterday about how much more, 2 tight end, how much more they're going to play with 2 tight ends now that they don't have Robbie Oots, who's on IR with the ankle injury. And so you started to see that in the game against Arizona, and I think you could see that going forward, whereas before, maybe plays where they had a fullback in there, maybe they're going to opt for another tight end instead, and so that could be an opportunity for Elijah Arroyo to continue to emerge.
Third down. I really should have made this my 4th down here. Missed opportunity. The Seahawks are one of 5 teams to have 3 or fewer 4th down attempts. Does that say anything about their aggressiveness, speak to a lack of faith in offense, or is this just a random stat that's through the first month of the season? We get through 4 weeks and suddenly we're going, oh my God, they're one of 3 teams to whatever. But they go for it on 4th down fewer than almost any other team.
Well, 7-8 years ago, you would have looked at that number of 4th down attempts, and you would have
everyone would have 3.
Yeah, that wouldn't have seemed all that crazy. I think as the tush push for them continues to look like a good play, I think you're going to see them be more aggressive on 3rd down. Now, they didn't run it when they had an opportunity to. I think on the first drive against Arizona, they had a 4th and 1, and instead they, a tip of the cap to Ryan Grubb, they get in shotgun on 4th and 1 and hand the ball off to Zach Charbonnet. What happened there was Macdonald told us afterwards was that he miscalculated the actual length of the yard they needed. I think he probably thought it was closer to 2 yards or maybe a yard and a half. Really, it was actually a half a yard. And as well as they have done, albeit in a very, very, very limited sample size, I mean, they were basically 3-0 on the tush push to A.J. Barner before that. And I think had he realized that was only a half a yard, I think he would have done the same thing. And I think they would have had a really good chance of converting that. So that play looks like a good play for them. And the point of the tush push is that you run it until someone stops it.
Yeah.
And so I think you're going to see them. I think that they should. I don't know if you will, but I think that they should continue to be aggressive on 4th and short situations, because that play, it's proven that it can work for them.
Agree with your point that it's hard to make sense of it through just a month, other than sometimes maybe desperate teams go for it on fourth down more often. And I think when you look at the other 4 teams that are with Seattle and having gone for it 3 times or less on fourth down, it's such a jumbled group that you're like, I don't know what to make sense, or I don't know how to make sense of this. It's Green Bay, the Chargers, Steelers, and Bengals. All over, all over the spectrum there. So who knows?
And there maybe is a part of that is that Mike Macdonald trusts his defense more than he trusts his offense, maybe right now. And you know that if he's probably, there's some incentive to play the long game and to know that, you punt the ball away, your defense is going to get a stop.
Fourth down. Let's head outside of Seattle for this one, Brady. What NFL team has surprised you most through 4 weeks this season?
What NFL team has surprised me most through 4 weeks this season?
I have an easy answer to this one.
Do you? Okay. Well, I would say there's not a whole lot of
it's the
obvious.
Colts, Brady. It's the
Colts. Yes. Okay. It is the Colts with Daniel Jones at quarterback. Look, I think Daniel Jones is, you've kind of seen it the last few years with quarterbacks who get in a different setting. They get away from the bad situation they were in before that, and for whatever reason, they have some success. You saw it with Geno Smith. Now, he was in the same team, but he got an opportunity to play, and he showed that he can play. You're seeing it with Sam Darnold, who, bounced around and got into a good system in Minneapolis after, I think, a really important year that he spent in San Francisco, and he turned it around. And maybe you are seeing that with Daniel Jones right now, who is among the league leaders in total QBR.
The Colts, now this was entering week 4, so I don't know if this is still true, but first in offensive DVOA and the second biggest point differential in the AFC. Pretty impressive. That being said, my runner-up to this would have been maybe like the Baltimore being 1-3. Which would you buy stock in? The Ravens are going to have a losing season, or the Colts are going to have a winning season?
Ooh.
Right? Because it's like, okay, these are 2 trends. We aren't quite sure. You're a month into the season.
Yeah, and then the other team,
the
other team I was searching for when I was hemming and hawing was Kansas City, which started 0-2 and has now won 2 straight
Turning around a bit.
with a win over the Ravens. Now, I have seen a little bit of conversation. Again, this is on Twitter and X, and who knows how real this is in real life. But some conversation about how, that defense, there's some people there who wish that they had hung on to Mike Macdonald and made Mike Macdonald the head coach. And if you look at that defense, really has not been the same since Mike Macdonald left. And
just lost some guys too.
They're banged up injury-wise as well. So that is a good question. I'm going
Indy.
I might say Indy too.
Indy.
I might say Indy too. I mean, the Ravens are 1-3 right now, so they've got they are in a bit of a hole right now, and Indy plays in what is probably the worst division in football, I would say. So they don't have a lot of stiff competition with the other 3 teams in that division.
Let's see what's on tonight.
What's on tonight with Bump and Stacy, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot. Now, here's what's on tonight.
Immediately following Wyman and Bob, you can hear the Reds and Dodgers in Game 1 of their Wild Card Series. Coverage starts at 6 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports. Hype Train coming your way next on your home for the Mariners playoff run, Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Wyman and Bob, every afternoon at 2.
It's an interesting game, Dave, in Arizona, as it always is. It looked really one-sided. It looked like they were going to blow the doors off this Cardinals team. I mean, it was a tale of 3 quarters and 1 quarter.
Honestly, before the game, I was like, this could be a blowout. And it was headed that way, but then they just kind of let them back in. So, yeah, there were some things to not like there, but on the road against an NFC West opponent, I thought it was a good, solid win.
Only on Seattle Sports and Seattle Sports on YouTube.
Start having fun. Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit muckleshootcasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot. Hey man, gaining weight, low energy, lost drive? It could be your testosterone. Revive Men's Health Washington helps men get their edge back. Meet Tyler, Revive Men's Health Director of Operations.
When men start treatment, it's not just their labs that change. You see it in their posture, their energy, and how they walk into the room. That's why I do what I do.
Call 206-529-1111 now to book your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation. That's 206-529-1111. Or schedule anytime at ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Are your investment dollars working as hard as they should be? You've spent years building your future. Don't let outdated advice put it at risk. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. We're a veteran-owned firm proud to bring a new standard of financial care to the Seattle area. Our nationally recognized advisors are fiduciaries, ethically bound to put your interests first. That's the highest standard of care in the industry. As a privately held company, we answer to you, our valued clients, not shareholders. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a customized plan. From Bellevue to Tacoma, get advice you can count on. It's time to take a fresh look at your financial plan. Call Trajan Wealth, 206-466-3300. That's 206-466-3300. Trajan Wealth. Plan smarter, dream bigger.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
This is the home of the Seahawks.
Going to let one fly deep. Got a man out there. Ball is caught down at the 10-yard line, and it's JSN.
Seattle Sports.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your
Did you
you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. We're heading to What I Need to Know coming up in 15. Get your questions in 866-979-3776. Any question, send it now. Right now, though, let's head to the station for Hype Train. First one in, Tigers beat the Guardians in Game 1 of that wildcard series. That's not the Hype Train, it's just a fact. This is your Hype Train. Tigers will be the Mariners' opponent in the ALDS this weekend.
I'm boarding that train. I think they get the job done tomorrow. I think they sweep Cleveland in 2 games, and they're well-rested coming into the weekend. Well, not well-rested. I mean, they get, an extra day off. But, yeah, I think it'll be Mariners-Tigers in the ALDS. You heard it here first.
Matt, you want to play?
Sure, why
not? Okay. Tigers will be the Mariners' opponent in the ALDS. Curtis is boarding.
Now, mind you, it has to be the Tigers or Guardians.
You can't choose
another
be a third team, Matt.
See, you saw where I was going because I was going to choose a mystery third option.
You can't do that.
The
That's
Seahawks.
not how it works.
Yeah, the Seahawks are going to do it. The other team is going to win. They're going to catch the Tigers.
Guardians are the other team.
By the toe.
Good job, Matt.
Meeny, miny, mo.
You nailed it.
Bingo.
You're the only one not boarding this train. I also think the Tigers will be the Mariners' opponent in the ALDS this weekend. I don't know if it's just the winner of the first game, to me, just kind of sets the tone for the series. Like you just kind of go, I don't know, man. No, it was close, right? It's a 2-1 win. It's not like they blew the Guardians out of the water and completely dominated, outside of a dominant pitching performance by School, obviously. But both teams had, I think, 5 hits for Detroit, 4 for the Guardians, no more than 2 runs by either team. It wasn't an offensive showcase, quick game, but I think the Tigers are, on paper, the better team. Haven't looked at it in September, but I think they might here as we round into October. Next Hype Train. Brian Wu dealing with that pec strain. We've been wondering whether he's going to go in the ALDS. We will see him in either Game 1 or 2.
I'm going to board that train. I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling like everything's trending towards that way. He was at the Husky game on Saturday. He looked fine. I mean, he was taking a selfie with Brock. I mean, that seems to be...
And that's supposed to show us that he's healthy?
I guess.
Well, I don't know.
Look,
Matt, you got to read the tea leaves here. You don't have a lot to go off of because you're not getting updates from the team. So you're going, well, I mean, like the day after, he wasn't walking around with ice on or anything. And people were like, well, I mean, shoot, he's carrying his own bags.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They made him carry his own bags.
That's not something you do if you're, if you've got
most important
an injury to your arm
hurt.
or your chest or anything like that. I think he's going to get a clean bill of health. Over the next couple of days, we'll see him start either Game 1 or Game 2 of the ALDS.
Matt, be careful with your answer here. Brian Wu will start either Game 1 or 2 of the ALDS.
Originally, I was going to board the train, and I was going to say Brian Woohoo, because that's just fun. But now I'm not going to board. I think this Brock selfie might have cursed him.
Stop it.
I think we need to look up statistics.
Don't you dare say
what do players normally do after a Brock selfie? Is it a positive? Is it negative?
Yeah.
Brock might have just cursed him,
Is
man.
somebody
I'm worried.
charting how...
Yeah, we got to start doing
performance.
that. Well, how many selfies has Brock taken with players?
He seems like a selfie.
I mean, he's incredibly
to me.
well connected. He's met 1 million people, but is he taking selfies with them? I don't know.
So.
I don't know.
I think he takes quite a few bits. I think he's well versed in the selfie.
Okay, well, we'll look into the numbers later. And yes, I'm boarding this train that he will start either Game 1 or 2. I think he'll go 2. Just give him that 1 extra day, maybe, just to play it absolutely safe. Next up, Woolen is a Seahawk past the trade deadline, which, by the way, is November 4th.
I am not boarding this train. I think there's just too much noise right now on that front. I think the Seahawks kind of recognize, we've gotten all we can get out of Woolen, and I think another team might serve as a better opportunity for him to reach the level of cornerback that I think a lot of people know he can reach. But I just don't see him in a Seahawks uniform past the NFL trade deadline, which is a little over a month away. So I am going to let this train go by. I wish it would work out here. I really do, but I don't see it happening.
Matt?
I am going to board, but I think he's going to go back to Tyreek Woolen. next season.
Oh, wow.
So technically, Reek Woolen won't be on the Seahawks.
So he's adding
Tyreek will be back.
adding the "ta" back on.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's bringing it back.
His play has definitely changed since
Coinciding
dropping the
with-
first syllable of his name.
That's interesting. It's interesting.
That we can chart.
Am I boarding this? I think I might. I think I am boarding this one that he's a Seahawk past the trade deadline. Now, we had ESPN's Brady Henderson on with us for the first 2 hours of the show. He's incredibly well-researched, well-sourced. He didn't say like, oh, I've heard this is happening. What he said was, this is not some kind of just a rumor or overreaction. I think there is a real possibility the team could trade Reek Woolen. Like, I think that's real. And I think there's a lot of context outside of just Ian Rappaport's tweet. There's a lot of context you can look at to add fuel to the fire. He also said, though, that he doesn't know that he'd deal Woolen for less than, like a third or fourth, just because you're going to get a comp pick if he moves on anyways and signs for that massive contract with another team. So if you're not going to get more than you would in a compensatory selection in 2027, then
there's really no incentive.
Then maybe you just, yeah. So especially if you're like, I don't know that I love what I would get back in return. If you're not getting a player, you're just getting like a late pick.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So yeah, I think I'm boarding that one. Last one. Matt, did you add this last one?
No, I did.
Okay. On Sunday, TBD which times, the Seattle Seahawks will be hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a stadium that seats over 69,000 fans.
Nice.
The Mariners will be hosting maybe the Tigers or maybe the Guardians in a park that holds over 44,000 fans. Traffic won't be
a lot of people.
Traffic won't be so bad on Sunday, says Curtis for this last type train.
I cannot board this in good faith. My role on Sunday will actually keep me away from the downtown area because
good for you.
Yeah, I'll be like one of the few people that has a legit excuse to not go to the stadiums that day because
I think I'm going to get trampled.
I hope not. I hope to see you here on Monday.
I don't know, man.
But my role is in studio during Seahawks games, so I don't have to go into that mess. So I guess it won't be so bad for me. Boarding that train
good for
then.
Curtis.
Yeah.
Good for Curtis. No traffic for Curtis.
Matt.
Okay, I'm not normally like a put good vibes out into the universe person.
But you're trying to do it, manifest.
I'm trying to do
traffic.
it. I'm boarding this train because I have to be at Lumen Field to engineer the Seahawks pregame, and I'm already dreading it. I normally get there like 3.5 hours early. I think I might have to go 4.5 just because I don't know how to get into that garage.
I bet there's going to be Mariners fans camping out that night, just in terms of like, just they're so excited for game one or game two.
Did I ever tell you I got trampled?
No.
In real life.
Where and when was this?
So I say this because I was just dreading the crowds and thinking in my head. I made a joke earlier about like, I'm going to get trampled because I'm like a small person and there's going to be 100,000 people in Soto. But then I had a recollection of when I was in early elementary school.
Oh, man.
We were walking down a sidewalk and it was like, class field trips that were kind of like, hey, we're just going to go down the street
to the park.
So that's what we did. Down the street, like several blocks from school, was a Pizza Hut. So we were all going to the Pizza Hut as like a field trip. And the crosswalk was like it was starting to count down. And so all the kids in the class started running. And I fell down and I got literally trampled by all the kids going forward. And I have a scar on my knee to this day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got left behind. I mean, a teacher immediately stayed with. It was like, oh my God. But anyways,
glad you're here with us.
Thank you. I almost died. 866. It was my Mufasa moment.
And the water buffaloes are running at you.
It was terrifying. It was terrifying. I feel like I'm still down there sometimes. 866-979-3776. Send your questions now.
Get inside the huddle.
The handoff inside to Sherman. He's going to go. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Taking you inside the VMAC every week. Thursdays, noon to 2.
Our guys show up to play.
Player interviews.
It's obviously been paying off. Just going to continue to do that.
Previewing this week's matchup.
We'll say they come out and just run the ball down the Niners' throats.
And everything Seahawks.
If anybody had a doubt, don't.
The Huddle. Every Thursday at noon. Exclusively on the home of the Seahawks, Seattle Sports.
Hey, it's Dr. Coogan from Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. We've been fortunate to work with over 4,000 local people and help them hit some pretty amazing weight loss goals. I'm joined by two of them right now, Mike Salk and Ryan Rowland-Smith. Mike, you were able to lose about a pound per day for over a month, 35 pounds in total.
Well, as much as I'd love to take all the credit, really, I was just following the plan. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic made it super easy, and there really was no part I struggled with. I was eating delicious, fresh food, all while losing weight. The accountability from your team was great. It just helped me keep the focus. I felt catered to the entire way, and I think Ryan really had a similar experience.
No doubt about it. I just finished up the program, and I can't believe how well it worked. I wish I would have started sooner. Talk about motivation. Salt, thanks for the recommendation.
No surgery, no exercise, no packaged meals, no drugs or injections. Just delicious food and a plan that works. Schedule a free 15-minute consultation today at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
If you've been considering upgrading your siding, now is the perfect time. Hi, I'm Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. In the Pacific Northwest, moisture is the enemy. Old failing siding leads to hidden water damage, rot, and mold. State Roofing and Exteriors is a James Hardy preferred contractor with over 55 years of siding expertise. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your siding inspection today. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
We've got a style of play no one wants to go up against. Big hits that turn the tides in our favor. Noise that shakes opponents to their core.
That was 112 decibels in that last tackle.
Disruption is in our DNA.
It's intercepted! Seahawks ball! Interception made by Love!
Celebrating 50 seasons of Seahawks football.
Right back, throws it! Touchdown! Touchdown Seahawks!
Visit Seahawks.com/tickets today.
This is where you hear your AL West champion Mariners in the playoffs. Seattle Sports.
Hey, Brock Heward here for my friends at PCF Construction. It was a couple years ago. We were seeking a complete outdoor living space. Molly wanted a new deck. She wanted to really make our outdoor space pop. And boy, am I glad we called PCF. Why? Because whether it's a very specific project or outdoor living, like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you completely covered. You know, Molly's an interior designer. She knows construction. She knows attention to detail. And PCF, they checked every single box along the way. And right now is the time to make the call. Up to $6,000 off your project, plus no payments and no interest until 2027. And you can save an extra $1,500 when you bundle your deck with a patio cover. Find all the offer details, get project ideas, and browse photos at pcfgroup.com or simply call today at 425-629-8476. That's 425-629-8476, PCFgroup.com.
Open enrollment for Medicare is coming up. Are you ready? Herb Weisbaum, the consumer man here. Get organized early with a Medicare Jumpstart Toolkit from the Insurance Commissioner's Sheba program. Order your free copy today at insurance.wa.gov.
Luxury has arrived at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Mike Salk here, and it's now open. Hawks Peak, the place to be for game days this football season, with over 66 TVs indoor and outdoor. Go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
When the heat's in 11,
cool AC would be heaven.
Dayandnight.net. Get end-of-season savings of 30% off an air conditioner or heat pump while supplies last at Day and Night.
Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Call us about installing a high-efficiency cooling system or servicing your existing one so you're cool when you need it.
Save 30% off an air conditioner or heat pump, plus no payments or interest for a year OAC. Call for details.
Dayandnight.net.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Get your questions in for What I Need to Know, 866-979-3776. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Unfortunately, Curtis, the first question isn't for either of us, which I think is incredibly rude. Matt Nelson asks the first listener, how the heck are you platinum level in Marvel Rivals? I don't know what that means.
It's even worse. I'm Grandmaster level in Marvel Rivals.
Wow.
Which means I am like the biggest loser on the
Yeah.
entire planet.
Yeah.
I love that game. I rage quit every night because there's always a ridiculous loss.
Okay.
It's the biggest waste of time, but oh my God, I love it. I'm a cloak and dagger main.
So
she's a healer.
Our audience
it's really great.
is
Next
falling
question.
asleep right now.
866-979-3776.
It's very bad to fall asleep at the wheel. And Matt is making our listeners fall into a coma.
Next question. Let's see. Wait, no, I just had one on the Mariners here. Gosh, dang it. I missed it. Someone was just asking, hey, are we wrong to be so optimistic about the Mariners? Oh, here it is. Are you all being too optimistic about the Mariners? Despite surging in September, they did get swept at home by the Dodgers.
I think with it being so low stakes, I'm not concerned. And I thought that they did a good job in the games that mattered more, Friday and Saturday, where they were in it till the very end. Sunday, that game didn't matter at all. And it was just kind of the Mariners' tribute to Clayton Kershaw. Like, here's your final start. We will graciously let you have a good start against us. I'm not worried about it. They did what they needed to do, clinch the division, got the first round bye. That was the goal. Anything on top of that was just gravy. So, not concerned.
Next question, don't answer yet. They said, what would be your dream sponsor, like, partnership, the person that like you got to do commercials for?
Man.
No, wait, let's answer on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Costco.
Taco Bell.
Oh yeah, Taco Bell would be my number 2.
Okay.
Getting free Taco Bell all the time.
Mine would be flip Taco Bell then Costco. Whew,
right, if they wanted to pay for my grocery bill and I could do a read
Costco
for them, yeah, gladly. Costco doesn't like advertise
Anywhere.
on TV or anything. Yeah,
You just got to know somebody.
that's right, exactly. That's how you know you're balling. Is when you spend nothing on advertising and people already know what it is.
I love Costco.
You know Sriracha, they don't advertise at all.
Because they don't need to.
Right,
Do
it's
condiments
everywhere.
ever advertise? I've never seen a commercial for ketchup.
I think mustard.
Relish?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never seen it. Never in my life have I seen a commercial for like an onion. You know?
Carrots.
Big
They're
Produce
good for you.
has it like that.
Yeah.
Matt, someone said that their daughter's platinum level. Is that better than Grandmaster?
That's like 1 rank under, or maybe 2. It's still pretty good.
Okay. Is
it still means
Grandmaster
that
the
she
number?
wastes a lot of time.
Is it the number 1?
No.
Oh, so you're
I'm not even close to number 1.
What's the number 1 level called?
I think it's called One Above All.
Oh my God.
No, it's ridiculous.
Take several seats.
so
Marvel
dumb.
Rivals.
I need to touch grass. I really do.
253 says, I heard him say Marvel Rivals, and I almost caused a 35-car pileup from falling asleep at the wheel.
Glad you're safe.
Which one of our Mariners players would be an amazing running back, says the 206. Josh Naylor?
Yeah, he'd be a good fullback because he's kind of squatty. Fullbacks, you got to be kind of short and stout.
Good running back. Good running back. Cal's too tall.
If he were healthy, Ryan Bliss, he'd be kind of shifty. He'd be like a J.D.
Kinda
McKissick.
undersized, though.
Yeah.
You want like
hard to tackle.
You want like 5'10", 210, between 185, 220.
I'll tell you who runs with a purpose
Yeah.
in their steps. Luke Raley. But he's big. He's like 6'3", 6'4".
He'd be a tight end.
Yeah. Luke Raley has an intensity to him that, like, I love how whenever there's a dog pile at the end of a walk-off, he's always the first one to, like, tackle somebody.
Luke Raley's got, like, there's, like, a danger that Dave Wyman has in his eyes.
Luke Raley does have
that with
linebacker
Luke Raley.
eyes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, something, not even linebacker eyes, like 1990s linebacker eyes where, like, it was kind of a Wild West, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
no rules.
Just, there's, like, a fire and intensity where you're like, I think you could physically kill someone.
425 says maybe Harry Ford.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. 866-979-3776. They need help picking their family's dinner, hot sub sandwich or chicken teriyaki and rice. You're making a very important decision for an entire family right now.
Yeah. I think if the weather were worse, I would go chicken teriyaki. For me, I don't know what it is, but that always says bad weather. Like it's a nice pick-me-up on a bad weather day. So maybe go the hot sub.
Someone said Randy is a running back. A hot sub. I like the idea of a hot sub being better for warmer weather.
Yeah,
I like when winter hits, it's snowy outside. Nothing I like more than a hot sub to kind of warm up. Just wrap it around myself.
Just go to Quiznos. They're not around anymore.
Someone said not Cal. Power source galore. Yes, he's a little tall though. Higher center of gravity. Let's see. Someone said, is Brock a nice guy in real life, which is a perfect opportunity for us to spread some rumors.
Yeah.
No, Brock is the nicest person.
Yeah, he takes care of his people.
I still remember I was here for my interview, like years ago, my interview to actually get a job here. And he walked through the main lobby where I was sitting, waiting for...
And you're kind of like...
And no, he just walked by and he was carrying a thing of apple fritters. And he said, do you want a fritter? I was like, what? I don't even know anyone here. I've been here for 5 minutes. No, I don't want a fritter. I'm about to walk into an interview I'm so nervous about.
One time when I was interning here, there used to be a Subway up the street from us. There is not anymore, which was devastating to those of us who work during lunchtime hours on East Lake. But he sent me up there to do a group order at Subway, which if you've ever ordered a group order at Subway, it's awful. It's the worst possible thing. And I'm there taking like 25, 30 minutes to get everybody's order. I'm super nervous. And like he gave me money to go pay for it. And I give him the cash back, the change that he gave me. And he was like, just keep it, man. Like,
he's so nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, sweet, thanks.
Yeah, he is wonderful.
When the Mariners opened their season in Japan and I had to be here for a 2 a.m. Mariners game, he brought me a breakfast sandwich.
Well, that was
Look at
nice.
that.
And that was like the best thing someone's ever done.
There are Quiznos.
Wait.
Port Orchard and Tukwila, according to our text line.
This is like when we tried to figure out whether there was an In-N-Out.
There is just outside of Vancouver. Last I saw, wait times were still like an hour.
Like Vancouver, Washington.
Yes, Vancouver,
Washington. So
Washington.
still 3 hours away.
Yeah, I think it's Ridgefield is the city where it's at.
We have Reds and Dodgers coming up. Game 1 of that series starts at 6 p.m. on Seattle Sports. Coming your way next, Wyman and Bob.
The Mike Macdonald Show, the morning after every Seahawks game at 9:30 with Brock and Salk.
How good was Sam Darnold last night?
Oh, he was great. He's awesome, man. He's great. He just so poised, accurate, competes, tough. Great decisions. I mean, I think the cool thing right now that showed up last couple of games is he's ripped it when it's there, and when it's not, he's taking care of the ball. And like that's big time because you live to fight another day, and he's awesome.
Get the podcast on the Seattle Sports app and seattlesports.com.
When your reputation's on the line, you don't leave anything to chance, especially your primer. Painters trust Kills primers for a smooth start, strong adhesion, and serious stain-blocking power. And now, the full Kills lineup is available exclusively at the Home Depot. Need it fast? Get same-day or next-day delivery, or order online and pick up in-store. Kills primers. Pro results, faster. The Home Depot. If you're a pro, you know.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s, it's not that they couldn't function, they just needed help. They started taking Viagra, and it worked great at first. But after a few years, it stopped working. The problem is that their arteries had become more restricted since they started taking it, because Viagra does not unclog arteries. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we use acoustic wave therapy to target the real problem. We break down plaque and clear up the arteries so blood can flow like it did in your 20s. This restores function. And guys, listen to this. You won't have to take a pill anymore. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Between his hobbies and decades of work in a boatyard, Philip had put his body through a lot.
I'm an avid fly fisherman and an avid skier. It takes its toll.
Not to mention one other thing.
I had a near-fatal motorcycle accident. Absolutely obliterated my lower left leg again.
Philip couldn't live with the pain anymore, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
Listening to all these radio spots, I said, what do I got to lose?
What was your experience like with Dr. Wagner?
What I was so impressed with Mark about is that how often you have a surgery like this, and the guy calls you the next day to see how you're doing. I can't say enough good things about the guy, honestly.
And how are you feeling now?
I have no pain, none. Zero.
Wow. So would you recommend stem cell therapy to others?
I'm a fan, believe me. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877 Cars for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877 Cars for Kids. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
Too many breakup songs getting you down? Put a little bossa nova in the playlist. Sometimes a different way is the better way. Like the SR 509 Expressway near SeaTac. Get a good-to-go pass to save $2 every time you use it, and on other toll roads in Washington.
Tune in on October 5th when your Seattle Seahawks take on Tampa Bay. Kickoff at 1:05 p.m. Muckleshoot Casino Resort, proud sponsor of the Seattle Seahawks and the biggest